Next is Patrolman Robert Lopez and family.
I state your name.
I, Patrolman Robert Lopez,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the government established in the United States
and in this state under the authority of the people,
and in this state under authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly perform
impartially, and justly perform
all the duties of police officer
all the duties of the police officer
of the Borough of Saraville
of the Borough of Saraville
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Next is Patrolman Claudio Mendez and family.
She's gonna be talking to the microphone. Mother. Yeah.
I state your name.
I, Claudio Mendez,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state under the authority of the people,
and in this state under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly perform
impartially, and justly perform
all the duties of police officer
all the duties of police officer
of the Borough of Saraville
of the Borough of Saraville
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Next, we have Patrolman Matthew Pellick, and family, please.
I state your name.
I, Matthew Pellick,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state under the authority of the people,
and in this state under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly perform
impartially, and justly perform
all the duties of police officer
all the duties of police officer
of the Borough of Saraville
of the Borough of Saraville
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if you would like to exit and go over to 310, you're more than welcome. Thank you to our police officers. Thank you to all of our family members that have come. And we are so blessed to have the best, the best.
You'll wait after you're done with pictures and have cake and
And have cake and
coffee.
coffee too.
Yeah, a lot.
Okay, we'll give a few minutes so that way the room can exit and then we'll move forward with our next presentation.
No.
Let's keep them out.
Because he's,
We'll just let that, and then we might as well do our presentation.
Wait a minute.
We might as well do this. Want to do the whole? We usually do it. You want to do those, and then we'll do the whole presentation? Okay, that's fine. with me. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll bring the chairs back out. We're going to move forward with the next portion of our agenda once our council chambers exits. We're going to move forward with our pulse presentation and then the rest of our awards. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's
All right.
there?
yeah.
Presentation is going to be done by Lieutenant Novak. Fantastic. They made you wait in the back, Lieutenant Novak, because you're coming up for the Pulse presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, the man behind Facebook.
The portable might work a little bit better. I'm gonna try and turn this a little bit just because
You can handle
back
it.
to the door is never
Absolutely.
a good thing.
I know.
Makes me uncomfortable.
So ladies and gentlemen, this time we're going to move forward with the next phase of our agenda, which is the Pulse presentation, which will be presented by Lieutenant Novak. Again, for those that are at home watching, this is our face behind Facebook and the PBA. So when he's
Sorry about that.
no, I think it's great. So when he's not turning around and doing everything within the community, from finding ghosts to tackling Toys for Tots, he's also finding these
fantastic programs for us. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Lieutenant.
Well, thank you very much, Madam
You're
Mayor.
welcome.
I appreciate it. This program is something that we created and implemented this past year. It's something that I'm incredibly proud of. So I appreciate the opportunity to come and present it to you guys today. All right, is that better? Sorry, Mom. So yeah, I created a PowerPoint for you. If you want to take a look over there, you'll see what I'm seeing. But we created this program. We call it PULSE. It's an acronym. It stands for the Proactive Union of Law Enforcement and Social Service Experts. That's pretty much exactly what it is. I didn't come up with that. Garen and Shantae came up with that one. I'll introduce them in a second. So what's the problem? The next slide, please, Nicole. Thank you. The problem. The police are often called and asked to handle incidents that aren't necessarily criminal in nature. Frequently, the calls are for social service issues. A lot of our residents struggle with mental health issues, substance abuse issues, homelessness, just et cetera, all the gamut of social services that are needed. And officers are not necessarily best equipped to manage these calls. These calls often cause a tremendous burden on our limited resources that we have. Next slide. So I just wanted to show everybody that I know how to make a bar graph. But what this illustrates is just some of the calls that aren't necessarily criminal in nature. The first one there is calls for intoxicated people, suicidal people, overdoses. And the last one, people might not even think about, but it's family verbal disputes. We believe in our experience that most of the time that we're called to solve family issues generates from one or more of the family members having a mental health issue or substance abuse issue. So how bad could it really be? Next slide. Thank you. One call for service usually requires at least 2 officers and possibly a supervisor to respond. An officer will stay with that person until safe arrangements can be made. It's difficult to find the correct services for people. There are a lot of services available. Unfortunately, navigating that and finding it is often very difficult. As a supervisor for 17 years on night shift, I could tell you after 5 p.m., you can't find anything. If you ever came into the police station on a cold day, when I was working, there would probably be 2 or 3 homeless people sleeping in the lobby because we couldn't help them in any other way, but keep them warm for the night. So generally, people, when we deal with people in this regard, they wind up in the hospital. We take them to the hospital. They're there usually for a couple of hours and then they're released. They come home and they'll start it all over again, often before the officer even completes the initial report for the first call. We're there again. Next slide. The entire process requires multiple officers to be tied up on calls for several hours. This time could be used for anti-crime patrol functions, but we're not. We're sitting at hospitals. We're sitting in the homes. We're trying to help people out. The process causes overtime, which any of the taxpayers watching right now, this directly affects you, right? It also leads to what a lot of people might not think about. It leads to officer burnout. People become cops because they want to help people. And when you go to these calls time and time again, and you know there's no help to be offered other than we'll try to calm it down for the night, it actually hurts your heart, and it can tire a police officer out. So that's a big one that people don't think about. Next slide. So how does the PULSE program solve that problem? The PULSE program places social workers inside of the police department. They work alongside of us. When residents of the town are in need of social services, they're usually identified through the officer. The officers write their reports. Those reports get forwarded to the social workers. The social workers will then follow up and try to help those people navigate the web of services and get them the help that they need. When adequate treatment or help is received, we believe future calls for services will be reduced, thus allowing the police to actively spend more time patrolling the neighborhoods and keeping the town safe. Next slide. But this is the big one. What else does PULSE do? We believe PULSE is actually sensible police reform. Next slide. That was a fast one. I'll say, I'm sorry, I got creative there and slid that one in. So next one. Okay. People suffering from substance abuse issues often don't turn to the police for help. There's a common thought that if you have these things or you have issues with that, the police are going to arrest you. That's not what we want to do. Sometimes that happens, but that's not what we want. We want to help you. We want to help you, recover from those issues. The PULSE program changes the perception of the people. When the police show up on your worst day, I'm going to kind of just talk for a second. When the police show up to your house on a bad day and you're intoxicated or you're having some sort of breakdown, they often just show up and we're going to tell you what has to happen tonight. You need to go to bed. You need to leave. We're going to pack you up, whatever the case may be. We become the enemy. When we do this time and time again, we show up on your worst day and then we tell you what's going to happen. So what happens is that we become the enemy rather than the ally. Pulse changes that too, because when you get a call the next day when you're sober or when you've calmed down from the police department, from one of our social workers and say, hey, can we help you? Right, that lets people know we're allies in your life and in your issues, and we're not your enemies. So that's a big point that this program addresses. Next slide. But wait, there is more. Next slide. You can click this a couple of times. All right. So when we were looking at this program and trying to develop it, it was during COVID. It was right after the death of George Floyd in police custody. And if everyone remembers, cities were burning all over the country. There was protests everywhere. So I began to think, and luckily I at Garen and Shantae, who are social workers, they own the Pulse program. They're standing in the back there. And I said, well, what can we do? Is this program the police reform that people are calling for? Can this address those deep-seated issues? So what we came up with, and what I ultimately did was, just next slide, please. I decided to look at our use of force numbers. I looked at the years 2017, 18, and 19. I chose those years because they were prior to COVID. They were sort of the normal years. Because like I said, well, this was the lockdown when I was doing this. In those years, there was a total of 55 incidents in the borough of Sayreville where police officers used force on a person. 26 of those incidents involved residents of the town. And interestingly enough, out of the residents, on average, the police dealt with them 16 times prior to the day we had to use force. So I reviewed every one of those reports. And looking at those reports, I found three things that every single person, 100% of them had in common: history of drugs, history of alcohol abuse, history of mental health issues. 100% every one of them. So the thought was, and speaking with Garen and Shantae, we were able to, they agreed with me. They're smarter than me, so that makes me feel better. That, these might be the underlying issues that we should be looking at, right? If we really want to make change. Out of the 29 incidents that were non-residents. Now, these are people who showed up in Sayreville one day. They drove in for whatever reason. The police were involved with them and we had to use force on them. We've only, met them that one time. 87% of those people during those 3 years were actively drunk, high, or having a mental health episode. 87% of them. So when I looked at that number, I thought that certainly helps me confirm that we might be on to the right track of finding the flags, right? The things that might indicate future potential for us to have to use force on. Next slide. Nope, you went backwards. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I skipped ahead there. All right, so this is just another bar graph that I made. You're welcome. Which just illustrates those numbers that I showed you. It's 2017 and 18 and the use of force. You could skip that. For the interest of time, we'll blow right through that. So Pulse is a tailor-fit program and it's designed specifically for this reason. It's customizable to your agency. It's based on size and needs of your town. It's easily adjustable as the needs change. There are no full-time employees that require fringe benefits. The program is designed to minimize wasted time. And this is important because in order to make this program affordable and easy to implement, what we did was we took full day work out of it, right? Depending on the agency, our size, we determined that we needed about 30 hours per week. So the social workers come in generally in the evening hours and on the weekends. And specifically the reason for that is that's when the people that need help are going to be home from work. That's when they're going to be able to make contact with them, right? So they come in, it's generally 4-hour blocks of time. So rather than an 8-hour day where you come in, you might only have 4 hours worth of work. And now you're sitting around the water cooler talking to all the cops for a while, wasting time, wasting money. This design kind of cuts that down. Let's see. Another big thing is that this is led by the police agency, right? There's no person in a suit in a high-rise building in some city somewhere telling our social workers what's important. This is run through the town where we know what our issues are, right? And by having the social workers in the building, that creates a team effort. And it also helps them because they acclimate to the community's needs. They know they become aware of what the issues are. The community gets to know them just like any other officer, right? So next slide. Now, this is an important point that I added in here because it's a question that I get a lot. What information is coming to the police department? We are not getting your medical information. When you talk to a social worker, if you get help, if you talk to a doctor, a therapist, anything like that, we don't know about it. This is not a program where Big Brother's looking into your life. It does not happen. We get statistics. How many people did you help? That's it. So I just wanted to add that because it's important that people know that their confidentiality is maintained. How did we fund Pulse? We received a grant from the Department of Justice, the Office of Community-Oriented Policing. The grant funded this program as a pilot for 1 year, which basically means, hey, try it, see if it works, report back to us. So that's what I'm doing right now. Our grant period ends March 1st. Next slide. So how's it going? It's Garen and Shantae in the picture there. I'm sure they're going to be happy with that. You're welcome. The Pulse social workers have helped to date over 380 residents in town find services, right? 380 residents. You know, those are the people that we probably would have been dealing with time and time and time again. So if they find the services, that's what we're looking for. All right, so regarding use of force, I should have used different colors on this bar graph, new to bar graphs, but I can make them. So if you can't see it, I apologize. But this first bar graph just basically demonstrates 2022 compared to 2023. This one is for non-residents. These are for people that came into town the one time. They did not meet our Pulse workers. They have not, met any of our officers. We dealt with them. During that time, the difference between 2022 and 23, there was a 25% increase in the use of force. There was only 3 incidents in 2022 and 4 in 2023. So when you look at the actual numbers, it's relatively consistent, but it is a 25% increase. Next slide. All right, so this is the big one. All right, these are the residents. These are the people that we deal with. These are the people that we've had contacts with prior. And the difference between 2022 and 2023 was over 46% reduction in use of force among the residents. Right now, I would love to sit here and say Pulse did that. This is exactly what we want to see. We need more time to determine that this program works. But ultimately, that's what we want. That's the goal, 46%. So I'm very proud of that number. Next slide. All right, so just some interesting facts, just to kind of reinforce to me that we're on the right track. In 2022, 92.3% of all the people who force was used were actively drunk, high, or having a mental health episode, actively. In 2023, it was 100%, every single one of them. Right, so that to me is just reassures me that Pulse and this program is attacking the root causes instead of putting Band-Aids on the symptoms. So next slide. So are there any questions from anybody? Well, I can make it more next year pie graphs. Yeah, I'll get fancy. No. No. Yes. Oh yeah, if you guys want to come up and let everybody see your pretty faces.
Are we seeking any more grants or any more financial assistance?
And yeah, yes, thank you. Yes, that's a very good question. As we're rounding up, the grant was for 1 year. So we are actively trying to find ways to fund this going into the future. So that'll be something I come talk to you guys about, in the new year, I guess. So yeah, in March, right? So this is Garen Nathan, licensed clinical social worker, and his partner, Shantae. As we designed this program, the 3 of us sat down and we went over all the problems that we see, what potential could happen, and we want to be able to do this without them. And when we applied for the grant with them, luckily we got it, and I couldn't be happier. We got the right people for the job, and they're doing a great job so far for us, for the town. So thank you, guys.
Garen is a Cerebral boy, born and raised too.
Lieutenant,
working.
before you sit down and close out your presentation, I just wanted to say that once again, Saraville, we're standing up and doing something above and beyond. And it's ever since our community service department was really put together, how many years now has it been? Only 4 years. The impact that you have had on the community is, there's no other community doing what we do. Okay, and that goes to you and to the rest of your team. From COVID all the way through now, I see it with the students that I work with, and I see it with the families that come up to me and they say, you have the best officers. They have helped me so much. And that's a big difference between what you were saying. It's not a matter of just enforcement. It's about the help that you provide. One of the things that I'm excited about is I know that the prosecutor's office is keeping an eye on Saraville right now in this particular program. Because depending on what we do here in Saraville, this is something that they want to be able to actually share with the rest of Middlesex County and beyond. So we're literally the pilots here, not that pilot, easy, Jim, different pilot. We're piloting this program to really be the staple and the benchmark for what other communities can do. And that's something that so often Saraville doesn't get the recognition for, the things that we do first, the things that we do best, and the things that we share with other people. So Lieutenant, and to the rest of our officers, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Just a side note with that, this program and Pulse, the company, was just brought into Red Bank.
Were
Their-
they?
Their police department is instituted the Pulse program there also. So we're thrilled.
We were
We're
first,
thrilled.
though.
We were first.
Yeah. I love Red Bank. No,
Yes.
that's excellent because it gives us another community for you to actually work with and see what's working on their end as well.
Absolutely.
So-
Just some more eyes, some more ears to the ground. But if you would indulge me for one more second, I
course.
just wanted to say thank you to Chief Plumacher for allowing me to run with this program. This is quite literally the most fulfilling thing that I've ever done in my entire career, getting this program started. So I couldn't thank him enough for trusting me with it. And the mayor and council also for allowing it. You know, for the people that know me in town, you know, I'm a cop because my dad was a cop here. But what you might not know is I think what draws me to this program and for helping the community is because I'm my mother's son. And my mother, tonight is her last council meeting. I know it is for a few of you, but you know, I'm going to talk about my mom for 1 second. My mom has done this, 18 years? The first time she was elected, I was a junior in high school. And now I have a gray beard. She's been doing it for a long time. If you don't know, she's a life member of the Saraville Emergency Squad. I mean, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of calls that she's answered and people that she's helped. So I couldn't have asked for a better role model as a parent. I'm very proud of her and I love her very dearly. So thank you, Mom, for being my mom.
That's a pulse right there. That's so thank you again, Lieutenant. Well, that is a nice segue into the next portion of our agenda, and that is the presentations of awards for the council. As this is our last meeting together as this board. Next time that you see us, it will be a different crew, some of the same, but a few changes. I'm going to turn the rest of today's presentations again over to our council president, Councilman Anoha, if you would.
Thank you, Steve Mayor. You want to go this one?
Do you want us up front?
I guess one at a time. Folks to the residents in person and those online, our first presentation, we're going to have about 3, and they are going to, our folks on our executive committee here that have conducted a distinguished service for all of us here in our borough. The first presentation will be going to Victoria Kilpatrick for her distinguished service rendered as a member of the Sayreville Borough Council in years 2015 to 2019, and as the honorable mayor of our borough from 2020 to 2023. And this has been presented to you by our borough council, Councilman Dan Belka, Councilman Vince Conti, Councilman Novak, Councilman Anoha, Councilman Roberts, and Councilman Zabrowski. I thank you for all your service, and this is our presentation to our half our borough. If you don't mind, we're going to hand the mic over to the mayor for a few departing words.
I'll save some for later. There is one name that's missing here. And I'm honored to have this in my hand. But I will ask for just a moment of silence still for Councilwoman Eunice June 4, who in just a short amount of time made a huge difference here in this town. And I was honored to know her. I was honored to work with her. And my family and I keep you in our prayers every single day. So I'll just ask if we can take one last moment of silence as we pray for justice and we pray for healing for her entire family. Thank you. Yeah, I think I need to because I'm short. But I would like to say just a couple of things. I know. I like the way she thinks. I'm a big fan of that. I wore heels tonight. I'll say a couple things and then we'll all right. I'm okay now. I can get through this, maybe. Thank you. If you would have said to me 10 years ago, Vicki, you're gonna be on the council. And one day you're gonna be the council president. And one day you're gonna be the mayor of this town. I would have laughed so hard. I would have fallen down and said, you're crazy. I'm a mom, I'm a teacher, and I'm a softball coach. And I love my town, but that's not me. I don't like speaking in front of people. Well, clearly 10 years has changed that dramatically. And it's hard for me to really almost envision what 10 years ago was like because it goes so fast. But I see it the most when I look at my daughters who are here today, who usually don't come, but usually are at home listening to every single recording and video, and they pay attention and they question me and they really give me hell for things that go on. And when I look at them, I realize how fast 10 years are. Haley, when I started this, you were 5. Addie, you weren't even 4 yet. And here you are now, juniors, a junior and a sophomore. So Mary, I totally understand when your son says he was a junior. That's where my babies are, junior and sophomore. And I loved and I appreciated, and I learned as much as I could in 10 years from being in this position. I learned that as much as you think you have all the information, you never do. In order to do right by people, you have to continue to listen and listen and listen and read and listen some more. And you have to use your heart as your guide and use common sense as your way of making decisions. It is not hard to sit. It is not easy to sit in this seat. I'm a phone call that I had this afternoon, a wise fellow said to me, Vic, don't do a full autopsy on 10 years of your life as a council person. And I'm not going to. I look back a little bit and I asked myself, did I do the best that I could for this town? And I believe in my heart that I did. Might not have always been the most popular, but I believe that I truly did make decisions that I thought were right in that moment. One thing that I will always remember is that when you're put on this earth, you're here to do something good. You're here to make a difference in the world in the time that you can, because you don't know how long you have. And in my 10 years, I feel like I've done that. But now, more importantly, I'm here to do something even more important, in my opinion. And that is to finally just be a mom again. Girls, you don't have to share me anymore. I get to come home and just be mom. You don't have to worry about me taking 1,500 calls. You don't have to worry about me putting my finger up saying, hold on, wait. You don't have to worry about me saying, I can't get to the softball game today. I have a few other places I have to go first. You don't have to hear me say, I need you to dress up and wear something pretty because we have a meeting to go to or we have an event. You just get me all to yourselves. Bill? I don't know how you put up with me for 10 years. You know, elected people, we forget that our families get elected to these positions as well. And the tough skin that I've developed as a mayor and as a council person and someone in the public eye, I got a thick skin. But I forget that my family, they have to wear all of it. The criticisms, the harshnesses, the nasty comments. And I want to thank my mom, my dad, Haley, Addison, Bill, my brother who texted me before, who's taking care of my niece right now. She has an allergic reaction to her medicine. And I just want to say thank you because they walked this path with me for 10 long years. And I hope I made you proud. And to the residents, thank you. Because you guys elected me to this position, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And that does not go without my utmost and most sincere thank you to put that kind of trust in me to turn around and be your voice. And I'm okay if you're angry at me sometimes, but I hope I made you look at things a little differently. I hope I've motivated you, more importantly, to get involved. There's nothing more humbling and makes me happier than to see a packed council room. And one of the most powerful things I think that I've been able to help happen here in Saraville is to open up council chambers virtually, to open up all of our boards virtually, to allow you to participate, not just in person, but by phone and by computer. Your voices need to be heard now more than ever. I'm still going to be around. I'm just not going to sit in the big chair. And I hope that more and more of you will be around. Thank you to the people I've been able to appoint into positions and for your service. Thank you to Jim Robinson for making sure I always have a 5-minute timer going, but also knowing the importance of letting the residents speak. Because you are the voice. We're supposed to listen to you. And we're supposed to follow what you need and what you want. To my council colleagues, each and every one of you have made a difference in my life. And I will say all for the good, regardless of the fights or the wars or the disagreements, every single one of us. Donna, I remember when you were elected, and one of the things I will always remember is your support of me. In the very, very beginning, you were just elected, and the very vicious attacks that were coming at me on a personal level. I will never forget your support and your words of that day. And I appreciate that. And I know that you lead by your heart and that you speak your mind and that you vote what you believe. And I'm looking forward to see what your future has as an elected official. Vince, the time that you have served on this council, there is no denying that your love and passion for recreation and for kids and for our community and for our families, you wear that on your heart and on your sleeve, and I know that. And one of the, honestly, I still have it on my phone to this day, is just when you had sent me that text message, because I think it was the first time that we had ever had an argument, ever. I don't think I ever raised a voice, and we moved past that moment, and I still see you driving sometimes past the middle school and wave. And I know that your wife is going to be very happy to have you home, and I hope that you keep traveling because I know you enjoy doing that. Mary, we've been through so much for such a long time, 10 years right from the start. You've been right there. And, you know, we veered off a track a bit, but Mary, I will never, ever, ever doubt for one moment that your service to this town was done with the purest of intent in your heart. And that you dedicated so much of your life, not just to this podium, but to your volunteer service. And I know that you're never going to not be a voice in this town, never, because your family's here. And, and I don't suspect, listen, so you just call it a little break for now. You get to be a grandma to a whole lot of little ones. And I know you're going to enjoy every moment of that. And then over here to my left, I'll start with Dan. Dan, I was so excited when you ran and to have you come over here from the Board of Education side to the council side. We probably go back longer than anybody on this council, at least 20 years, probably, close to it, since I've been a teacher. And I know that you love to talk. And I know that you absolutely love having the microphone on you, and you are just the most verbose human being I know. But it's your brevity that makes you such a strong leader. And it's also your math skills and your analytical skills that are going to turn around and be such an important part of Sayreville moving forward. And it's been an honor to serve with you. And I'll keep calling and aggravating you anyway. Now, our newest member, who I've only had a chance to sit next to twice, this being day 2. Listen, you've got a ski on the end of your name. What more can I say? You're going to do great here. But the knowledge, the wisdom that you bring, because you've been here such a long time. So you're going to be, I just know that you're going to bring what makes Sayreville so wonderful from before to what we need now. And you bring both dichotomies to the table. And then to my friend Christian, I never thought a million years that one of the people that I would work the closest with from day one was yourself and Eunice, the 2 elected Republicans, in a world where so many times people look at Democrats and Republicans as not being able to come together. And you made me realize quickly
that we are people. We are not parties. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you stand on or what color you wear or what column you're under. When it comes to local politics, it's about the person. And Christian, your person, your character, your faith, your family, and your honesty, I said it before, I'll say it again, helped me to realize really what we're put here to do. And that was with you and with Eunice. And I'm forever grateful for that. Forever grateful. And then I have my two gentlemen on my right and my left. Glenn, I'll pray for you. No, no, Glenn, I'm only working with you for a little bit of time, but it feels like forever. I know you're going to help guide this council and you're going to help guide this town and you're stuck here. And every time I see you walking around Pulaski, I'll be stopping. I won't be walking, I'll be driving, but maybe a couple of times. I'll get you out, get me out there. He's the man behind the scenes that makes sure that we stay on track and do what we need to do. And I got probably some things I have to sign and some pictures, so you're stuck with me for a little bit longer. But over here, and then Jay, how can I forget? Jay, oh my gosh. If you don't know Jay, Jay is like the Mary Poppins of Sayreville. And I mean that only because of the bag he carries. Jay, show them that bag. I thought he was carrying like a marionette with him every day. That is the never-ending bag. If you've ever seen Mary Poppins, she pulls lampposts out. She turns around and pulls whole kitchen sinks. Jay, I don't know how old that box is. I don't know what it is made out of, but I swear the entire town of Sayreville is packed inside this box.
Justin in there the first.
I know. Justin, Justin's like, yes, we sing around it and we dance around it as a family. Jay, I have never met somebody in my entire life that has as much knowledge about anything. It is astounding to me how much you know about our town and how much you care about our town, and you can just recite it. I don't think there's ever been a moment where Jay has ever said, let me get back to you on that. He just knows it. And I'll never forget, Jay is also the most professional. He is the calmest human being ever. And God, I think it was like maybe my second or third year when somebody came up and actually started to yell at Jay, like yell. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, who is this person? And Jay, you sat there with such poise and you just took it. And I was in awe of you. And honestly, I aspire to have that level of control. I'm not that good. So thank you for that, Jay. And always taking my calls when I had a question and working to make things right. Denise, you just make me laugh. How many times I come down to your office, I'm like, what the heck is going on? Denise, I remember when you were hired, I remember the candidates that were before us, and it was pretty much a no-brainer. And I hope that you stay on. You have a great person next to you because you worked with them for so long. Denise knows her numbers and she's quick. We love the word grant and we love the word no overtime. That makes us happy. And no snow. So thank you. But this year, I really, really, really have to say, this gentleman to my left, you have helped me get through, I think, the toughest year as an elected official I could ever imagine. You have served our town with such a level of knowledge and professionalism. When it comes to attorneys, and in this role, you meet a lot of them, I can honestly say, aside from my friend Jeff Serenian, Mr. Affordable Housing Everything, there is no better attorney. I'll say not just in New Jersey, but really in the entire country that I would not have, that I could have thought to put in the seat next to me. He has helped our town so dramatically. This year, the litigation that we have had, without his expertise, knowledge, and that includes Sal and the rest of your team, I don't know where we would be as a town and a community. Sean, you are an asset to any town that has the privilege to call you their attorney, any individual that has an opportunity to work with you. You wear multiple hats, but as an attorney, you are top notch. And I would say that the residents demand that we keep him where we are. I don't know what will happen come January. We've got a lot of litigation still on hand. And there is no doubt that this is the man that would be able to see us through each and every one of those things. So the town deserves to applaud you. There's a million other people, especially these two ladies up in front of me, that you guys don't always get to see. You see the ponytails in the back of the hair, but I'm going to tell you, they keep us in check up here. Nicole, you have made me laugh from the day that I stepped into this position, run on down to watering my plants, which, by the way, impossible to kill because they're fake. But Nicole wanted to make sure. So she just gave him a little drink of water for me, just in case. And yeah, but just talking in my office and making me laugh, because sometimes you got to laugh or you'll cry in this place. And Jessica calling, you got papers to sign, Mayor. You got to come check this out, Mayor. Are you coming in today, Mayor? I'll be there. Jessica, you filled some big shoes between Gladys leaving and then when we had Terry, and you just did it all in stride. So this town is in phenomenal hands. There's so many other people that I would love to thank, and we'd be here till midnight, and the voice is on at 8. So my daughter's looking at me saying, shut up, because we have to watch the final competition. But I thank you all so much for giving me this opportunity. And now I can't wait to just be a mom for a while. So. I feel shorter now. I feel shorter now. My goodness. The good thing is there's only 2 more presentations. I'll call upon our council president once more.
Congratulations again to you, Madam Mayor, for your years of service. Our next recipient of this glorious distinguished award for service rendered to our borough is presented to Mary J. Novak for her distinguished service rendered as a member of the Sayreville Borough Council from the years 2012 to 2023. And this is presented to you by Mayor Victoria Kilpatrick, Council members Daniel Balca, Councilman Conti, Councilman Anoha, Councilman Roberts, Councilwoman Roberts, and Councilman Zabrowski. Congratulations to you, Mayor.
It's funny, I said to the girls, and I can call you girls because you're so much younger than me, that when I was on the squad, I used to ask that they not give me any more plaques because it was just something my children were going to have to throw out when I died. And they said, oh, Mary, you're getting another one. And I said, oh, thank you, though. I really appreciate it. I can't tell you what an honor and a privilege it's been to serve this town for a total of 18 years, 6 back in the 90s, and another 12 now. I served, I honestly, I've checked into it and I'm pretty sure I'm the longest serving council person. Kennedy beat me with mayor and council, but I'm the longest serving council person. I served with 4 mayors, John McCormick, Jim Zagata, Kennedy O'Brien, and Mayor Victoria Kilpatrick. And I even had the distinct honor. I was being on the council when our former mayor, everybody called him Uncle John Chernikowski. We stood honor guard at his funeral. I've had 5 running mates. Scott Kominkevich, and I pronounced his name right. Some people call him Kaminkowicz, but it's Kominkevich, the correct Polish way. And then I had Ray Skarzinski, Lisa Eicher, Vicky Kilpatrick, and then Vince Conti. For any of you know, Ray was my running mate when we lost election back in 2000. And I said he was still my running mate for the next 10 years, only we ran first aid calls. We became practically the only duty crew in Sayreville. And we rode approximately 800 calls a year. And he was my running mate for a long time. Serving with Vince, I can't tell you how much, I mean, he was wonderful serving on the council, and he was an excellent running mate. The man walked his little feet off, and all this time, you know, he was still running Sayreville AA. He had to take on that whole responsibility all at once, as well as still being a coach. And although Ray and I needed to find something to fill our time, I think Vince has got plenty to fill his time, and I went from no grandchildren to 11, so I am going to have plenty of things to fill my time from now on. Some of my accomplishments, the best one I still can't get away from, I love it to death, and it's still visible every single week in everybody's home in this town, is the automated garbage. That was, we had to work very hard to make the town accept it before we implemented it. We didn't try to shove it down anybody's throat. We were in a unique position where we had a lot of retirements, so there was no need to lay anybody off. And it's probably the first and only time that the council actually made a commercial that was seen on Channel 15 all the time, where part of it, Bernie Bailey was in a garbage can and his mother pushed him to the curb. We wanted to let all of the seniors know that although these cans were big, they were quite manageable. So we always still, I got a copy of that if anybody wants to see Bernie in a garbage can. We also started the calcium chloride system, which was something a lot of people don't even realize had happened, but it saved us a lot of wear and tear on the roads, a lot of wear and tear on our storm sewers, and it kept the roads ice-free for a much longer period of time. So it saved us on overtime, because instead of going out 2 or 3 times to continuously salt, this would, the calcium chloride system kept the ice from forming for a lot longer, lower temperatures. And another thing, when I first got back onto the council back in 2012, we had not put any money in our budget for 2 years for roads. We immediately went back to 2 million a year. When Vicky came on, we went up to 3 million, and I'm happy to say we're up to 5.5 million now on roads. People always say, when are my roads going to get done? People don't realize we really do have an extensive road program. It's been our 10-year program is what, on 30 years now? Still trying to get through it. It's every single road. And I know a lot of people have, I'll talk to you later if anybody still wants to know about what's going on with South Minisink. I've gone to so many committee meetings this week, and rather than the business of the committee, they all want to know about South Minisink. And I try to explain it to them and they understand when it's done. Okay, another thing that I was very proud of when I came back was we returned to residency preference in town. For over 10 years, we were hiring residents from outside of town, and I don't care what anybody says, you live in this town, you should have first preference in this town. Nobody is going to do a better job for the residents of this town than people who live here, grew up here, still have families here. And also, of course, lowering the housing density that we were kind of stuck with at the beginning when I first came back on. It was tough because you're trying to play catch up with what had gone on for many, many years. And we quickly became aware of the fact that we weren't being told exactly the truth. And we worked very hard. And we did manage, even though people don't see it, we managed to cut the amount of regular housing by about 30% because we were able to drop the numbers down and work very hard. Okay, there's only one regret I really have on the council, and that's with the first aid squads. I was really very much in favor with going with Robin Wood to take over our daytime duties because of the cost difference. All of your first aid is equally, you're not getting any poor service. You're just paying a lot more for it. Matter of fact, my husband was telling me at the PBA Christmas party, one of the retiring gentlemen told me that he was stuck with almost a $3,000 bill for a ride to the hospital. And it could have been cheaper and you would have had the best services, but that's water under the bridge. Maybe it's something in future years you can check into. Okay. Let me see, what else do I have here? Oh, and Pulse. I couldn't be prouder. I mean, I know I couldn't be prouder of my son. And just like automated garbage, we were pace setters. Sayreville has become pace setters with Pulse. And it is going to be, it's not going to just take over Middlesex County, because it's already starting in Monmouth County.
Yeah.
And I'm sure before you know it, it's going to be all over the state. And it is going to help so many residents and protect our police officers as well. I thank you. And like you said, the Chief Plumacher, for allowing you to run with this. I'm happy that you were able to come and do this present. I didn't expect the compliments, but I'm happy you were able to do this before I left. Last but not least, I'd like to thank my family, my husband, who was put up. I mean, this is only the second meeting the man has ever attended. No, three. I think you were here for three. And all of my kids, as my son pointed out the first time I was here, he was still a junior in high school, and my son Charles was in third grade at OLV. So, and my son Charles now has 4 children. He has graced me with 4 grandchildren. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done, for everything you've supported me with. The employees of this town are second to none. The professionals, CME, you've proved my faith in you for so many years. Like you're part of this town. You love this town. I know you're going to do the best for this town. And I know your son's going to do a great job when you decide to retire. I have always had a great relationship with all of my working council people, Republicans and Democrats alike. But I've become especially close to Donna over the past few years. It's been a wonderful relationship with everybody up here. Dan, I didn't get to work with you long, but I actually was a person who hired you back in the 90s and worked with you as second in command in finance. Stash, only got to know you a little while. You're going to do a great job. Christian, I didn't get to see you that much, but I only got to see you on camera. But, you know, I know you put a lot into this. Vicky, like you said, you know, but we were tied at the hip for a good number of years, you know, and we did a lot of walking too in the heat. Glenn, it's hard for me to believe this man is sitting here with me. We used to ride first aid calls together. I learned more from this man as a paramedic. You learn from the books, but there's nothing like riding with a man like this. And he even made me laugh quite a few times. You and your father with the jokes. And let me see. All of the borough employees. I work so closely with public works employees. We're second to none in this town. The residents have to realize just how great your borough employees is with absolutely everything you do. The police department is great, but most people could go their whole lives without a police officer. Not me, but a lot of people. But you can't go more than a week without seeing somebody from Public Works. They're either cleaning your streets or picking up your garbage or filling your potholes. Every single employee in this town, their job is no more and no less than important than another one. And they supported me, they supported the residents, and I can't thank them enough. And then the ladies up here. I've served with 3 different clerks. And all those years, this is the first time we had the deputy clerk in here with us too. These girls, they make us look good because when we screw up, they're whispering little things to us. And we have our cheat sheets up here so that we know exactly what we're supposed to say, right? They make us look good every year and they look good for this. Also, they had to learn this whole thing with the Zoom on a fly. And they did such a great job. And the residents of the town should be very, very lucky to have you. And do I have any more notes here? I was scribbling so much that I didn't forget anything. Oh, there was one funny thing I wanted to say. Back at St. Stan's on Veterans Day, future mayor, former mayor Kennedy O'Brien commented on the fact that I had lost a lot of weight. And I thanked him and I said, it's good to know that the Republicans realize I worked my butt off too, so. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again, Councilwoman Novak, for your longevity and your application as well. Our next award is presented to Councilman Vincent Conti for his distinguished service rendered as a member of the Sayreville Borough Council from the years 2020 to 2023. This is presented to you on behalf of Mayor Kilpatrick, Councilman Balka, Councilwoman Novak, Councilman Anoha, Councilwoman Roberts, and Councilman Zabrowski. Thank you again and congratulations.
Here's your tissue.
Well, fortunately for all of you guys, I will be much shorter than that.
Sorry.
And I don't even know how it was that long. She's got one short paper with a bunch of scribble on it.
Sorry.
So, but I don't have the history that both Mary and Vicky have here. They have a ton of history, as you can see. I was on for a term. So there's a lot of, and as you know, if you've come here, it takes a long time for things to develop. It's not like, hey, we go to one meeting and the next meeting it's done. It takes a long time. So you get a lot of things started in a term, and then it's tough to see some of that through because if you're not on for a second, it's quite a challenge. So, I will just spend my time here, saying, giving some shout outs and thank yous. I do want to thank the residents of our town for allowing me to serve in this capacity on their behalf. I truly was honored and grateful for that. I thought that was, to get elected to a position is really an accomplishment. And I was honored that people put their faith in me back in 2020 and put me on council. So I was thrilled, really thrilled with that. Very happy. And, as I said, honored. I've enjoyed my time. At times it got a little long. But that I think that's the thing. I was never in politics before, so I didn't really get how things were. And, I got a big dose of it on the council. And, unfortunately, sometimes that's the stuff you've got to get through to get results. And it takes persistence and patience for the council to make their way through things and to accomplish things. So that is definitely something that you need. If you want to get something accomplished, you got to have patience. You got to work your way through. You got to debate things. and you've got to collaborate with others if you're going to accomplish things. And, happily, we did that a bunch of times. But that's what it takes. So, I was certainly, I've enjoyed my time. I will miss spending time with residents. I enjoy going by somebody's house or business and talking with them about issues. So I did like that a lot. Somebody called me up when we were pounding the pavement, said, "Oh, I got a problem in my backyard." And, "Oh, well, show me. Let's go take a look." And something was knocked down back there. I remember on Main Street over here, I think it was Miss Pincus showed me this pole that was knocked down in the back of her house, and I was like, so let me, and I made a couple of calls and got it taken care of, which was nice. I will miss that, and I'll miss representing our borough at all the events that we have around town. Whether it's Veterans Day or the 9/11 or Trick or Trunk or something like that. So I'm definitely going to miss that. Yeah, well, maybe. But I will miss that, and also just advocating for our residents. When you've got issues, when you need something done, that's what I like to do. I've always liked to do that, and support our people, fight for our people, and get things done. So I definitely will miss that. I've always been one to listen to our people, to our residents, and whether it's good or bad, and the residents have spoken out and desire to change for moving forward. So I certainly welcome the next chapter of council members to the dais. Of course, I wish everybody well. I think they will guide Sayreville to a better and brighter future. I've got great confidence in these individuals that they'll do such a thing. So, so I welcome you and congratulate you on that. As far as the people in our town, so, starting with Jess and Nicole, you guys have been great. You've been very helpful for me and guiding me, and you never steer me wrong, which I truly do appreciate. Denise with the numbers, every time you need something, she's always there, and clarifying something or explaining something. I really appreciate that. And Glenn, I'm very, very happy that I will say that, a couple of us were the driving force in getting you in that seat. And I'm really happy that we did that. I think you definitely were the right guy for the job. And I'm really proud of us getting you here after seeing what you've done over the last year. I've got no doubt that you're the right guy for the job, and that you'll be great for our town for years to come. So it was one of, Mary talks about her accomplishments. Bringing in the right people for me is really an accomplishment. So I'm super happy about everything that you've done, Glenn. As far as department leaders, again, Chief Pulmacher, we were, a couple of us here were the driving force to get him on in that position. I think it was well-deserved. And I'm very proud of, being one of the forces behind him leading our police department. So I'm very happy about that. And the gentleman in the force that I've gotten to know, Captain Kiernan, Lieutenant Novak, Sergeant Braille has gotten a lot of calls from me over the past few years. You've all been great. So, and I know not everybody's here, but oddly enough, a lot of people watch these meetings later on. I go by DPW, they got it on in the background. So, these folks they'll see my thank yous here for them. But the police department has been great. The PBA, the entire force, I really appreciate them and want to thank them for being there for me. Fire department as well. I've seen fire department and first aid. They've always been there when we've needed them. Jonathan, Anthony, Nick, Matt, Dexter, and Kevin. I think they're super responsive, which is something that I've always been very happy. People, you're out and about and you see something, I call on somebody for something and they're there. which is good. Sure, maybe it's because I'm a councilman, but the thing is that I don't think that's the case. I think it's just getting a hold. They want to help. They want to do the right thing by our residents. So they're there for them, and they're there for us, and they're there for them, which is something that I admire in everybody around town. You know, obviously, then you've got in DPW. So you've got George, you've got the retired Phil and Tony who were there. You got Richie and Craig and their dedicated crews. Those guys, you know, as I said, they are super responsive. If there's an issue out there, whatever it may be, sanitation, roads, you know, I need you to get out there and go do something. And they would do it. They take care of things. So I'm very happy that I got to work with them. I can't thank them enough for everything that they've done. And then you got Brian and Jeff in the rec department, Kirk, Kevin, and Andy in code and fire. I'm serious. These guys have just been super responsive throughout my time, and they've done a lot of good things for our community. And I'm just really happy to have worked with them on behalf of our residents. You know, and I echo what's been said about Jay. Jay, you're always there with information, and it's you know, you can't be thankful enough for something like that, because it really gets you out of jams or really gets you through a troubling situation. So I appreciate all that you've done over the years. It's really great tribute to how smart and how knowledgeable you are, and I really do appreciate the guidance throughout that time. So I'm going to also thank some former council members as well. I came on in a COVID year. Came on in 2020. You know, when you again and then me sworn in by, you know, I think there was 2 people out here. So it was, you know, it was tough, but former council members Mar, Enriquez, Delina, they really helped guide me through that time. It was a challenge. You know, I want to thank Patty out there. She's out there for her guidance and support as well. The team of them have been, you know, really good, really great to rely on and great support. You know, and of course, most of all, I got to thank Mary for her help and her knowledge and her expertise. Besides Jay, I think that Mary knows more than anybody. She starts going off about certain things, and it's just like, what are you talking about? How do you? So she knows a ton of information, and it's really helped me out quite a bit. You know, you're a great friend, and I truly do appreciate you. It's been a pleasure sitting next to you. So just in closing, I've got to say that I'm honored to serve our town for the last 3 years. I thank you once again for allowing me to do so. And, you know, just to close, I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you all and have a good night. No, I'm only kidding. We've got a full agenda, actually 2 of them before us. So without further ado, time to do some work. All right, we will begin next with our public hearing on the following ordinances, please.
Ordinance number 41-23, an ordinance supplementing and amending ordinance 437-19, fixing the salaries of certain borough officials, officers, and employees for the year 2022.
At this time, open to the public for any and all comments regarding this ordinance and this ordinance only. Seeing none in person and none online. I see none online. There is, oh, I apologize. It's been, okay, thank you. Nope, it's back up. Okay, Mr. Syed, is this on the ordinance that was just presented? You're in the public now, but you're muted. Okay, you're now in the public without mute. We're only discussing ordinance number 4123, Mr. Syed.
Honestly, thank you for giving me the opportunity here, you know, unmuting myself, unmuting. I'm not sure whether it's about the ordinance or not, but I'm going to take about probably 1 minute or so to say thank you for every one of you for working hard for the Borough of Saraville, both the one who are outgoing and who are going to be remained as our representatives, making our streets safer and brighter and cleaner and having all the everything in order. Those who don't know me, I'm the owner of those cats, Nala,
I was gonna say that, Mr. Syed.
So thank you so much for everything you did for the city of Saraville. We really appreciate your help, and I hope people who are going to remain will have learned something from each other. And great politics. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you, and please do me a favor, keep signing in, keep paying attention, keep speaking, and keep an eye on those cats for me, please. Thank you. Let's continue. So seeing nobody else to speak on ordinance number 4123, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion. Accepted.
Move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Enoha,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance 42-23, and ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 2 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to amend section 2-51 Saraville Economic and Redevelopment Agency.
Once again, at this time, I'll entertain any discussions on this ordinance and this ordinance only. Seeing nobody in the public or online, I will entertain a motion to close public portion and adopt the ordinance.
I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Enoha,
Yes.
Roberts, Sinarski.
Yes.
Okay, moving forward with new business, I see we have no ordinances for introduction. Wow. That brings us to our resolutions. Yeah, oh, that's right. I forgot. Minor glitch in the system. Resolutions at this time, then I'll open to the public for any and all comments regarding consent agenda resolutions only. Please step forward, Mr. Robinson.
American Robinson, Farland, New Jersey. I'm just looking at the bill list because this is the first thing on the agenda. Turf maintenance, synthetic field maintenance, $4,900. Is that for the field at Veterans?
Is that our, yeah, it should be, right?
And is that a routine expense? Do we pay that once a year? Is this the first time since it's been installed that?
I think it's a yearly, Jim, but I'll confirm that when I get in the office tomorrow.
Okay.
And I
know
think
what
that
we-
might have been at the
Yeah,
soccer complex too on
Yeah, there's
Morgantown.
two
I'm
fields.
sorry?
Just
The
two
soccer
fields.
complex.
This is the
The-
soccer complex.
Well, it's both probably. We still have the
Yeah, the turf
a
field down
maintenance
there.
agreement.
Okay. All right. Thank you
Anything
very
else?
much.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, moving forward then, any other comments regarding consent agenda resolutions? Seeing none in the public or online, I'll entertain a motion, Council President. Oh,
Motion?
yeah, to close the public portion and accept consent agenda resolution items. You can say so moved.
So moved.
There you go. Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Enoha,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Sinarski.
Okay, and at this time, I also need a motion to accept the correspondence as listed on the agenda under A, B, C, and D. Thank you very much. Second, somewhere?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yeah.
Balca,
Quick comment though, real quick. Can we have someone proofread some of these department reports? Because I noticed the one report talked about meeting with the wall maintenance because the contract was recently awarded. Then it goes on saying about the flags being put at half staff for the month of August. Then it talks about packing up and cleaning up after several day. And it was the November report and all this stuff happened long before November. So it looks a little sloppy when we have some of these things showing up. Yeah, so it's because they're, so they should be proofread and corrected before they hit us, I think.
Sounds like something was pasted, you know.
Cut and paste, yep.
Conti,
Yes.
Enoha,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, we're going to move forward with our mayor and council reports. We're going to start with administration and finance. Councilman Balco, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, the Association of Municipal Supervisors went into mediation and they have memorandums of agreement signed. Once a few items get addressed, the contract should be settled and we should be voting that shortly. Year end is fastly approaching and finance is very busy trying to get ready for the closing of the year. I want to thank the mayor for her service to borough as a council person, mayor and teacher. It was an honor to serve under you this past year. I want to thank Mary for all her years of service as a council person, volunteer for the First Aid Squad. I wish her all the best. And same with Vince, I wish you all the best. And for all the residents and everyone here, I wish them Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays. And other than that, progress.
Thank you, Dan. Once again, as long as you can possibly make it. Thank you for, let's move forward with public safety. Councilwoman Roberts, please.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to once again congratulate the new police officers that were here earlier today and those who were promoted. We do depend on them and expect great things from them, of course. I have no reports. However, I do want to thank Mayor Kilpatrick for your service. We started out with a lot of positive action, and then we were hit with COVID. You did assign me to administration and finance for the first 2 years. Don't ever think I won't forget that.
I know. You did a great job. You really did. And I think that that's the bloodline of the town. So you did get to see those dollars.
I did. And you owe Denise a great big apology for that because she had to carry me the whole time. And I do want to say it was a pleasure serving with Mary and Vince. And Vince, you and I basically started at the same time in the middle of COVID. I think I had a couple of meetings on you here present. And I think really we served our first years together live. So I understand everything you said about learning from people who came before us. And Mary, I do appreciate the friendship we built and we're going to see each other at the library. We both have little people that will enjoy story hours. So we'll be keeping up and I have your phone number, so I'm going to use it. And thank you. Thank you for your service. And I appreciate it. It's been a wonderful experience that I look forward to seeing because I know all of you are not done. There's going to be more. You can't help it but to serve. And I know that because I've seen you work. And I appreciate it. And thank you for the time you spent here and the service you've given to the town. And that's my Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Roberts. Moving forward, we're going to move to Public Works now. Councilman Conti.
Thanks, Mayor. So no reports for today. Just I just want to thank you, Donna, for the kind words. It's been a pleasure sitting next to you and serving with you as well. So we always saw eye to eye on things. So I appreciate that. It was very nice and refreshing for me. Dan, thanks for your kind words. Appreciate that. Christian's pleasure serving with you. Mayor, it's a pleasure serving with you. I know it was a tough go of it. I remember I think my first meeting was about the fence.
Oh, good times.
And I think I might have been the deciding vote on that first day that I got here. But after all these years, it looks so darn nice. Closing that in like that, it just makes it look nice. So it was a pleasure being with you. Mary as well, same thing. It's been a pleasure. So, and ladies and Glenn, it's been a pleasure being up here. It's been a nice experience. So maybe we'll see each other again at some point in the future. But for now, just signing off on progress.
Thank you very much, Councilman Conti. Recreation, Councilwoman Novak, please.
Okay, recreation updates.
You have your microphone
Thank you. Donna's always been the one that reminds me to turn it on and off all the time. She used to sit next to me and actually do it for me. She taught me how to use that computer too. Thank you for that. Okay, recreation updates for tonight. The STEM Winter Break Camp with Legos for grade K through 3. The registration is open and the camp dates are from December 26th to December 29th. The STEM Winter Weekly After-School Program with Legos from grades K through 3. It will be held Tuesdays and it'll start January 16th to February 20th. Registration is now open. Discount tickets for the Ringling Brothers Circus at the Prudential Center are on sale through the Recreation Department. The show is March 2nd at 7 p.m. I have to apologize because when I was saying my thank yous to everybody, I actually forgot to say thank you to the volunteers. The volunteers in this town are second to none, from sporting to, but the fire and first aid, you really give up a tremendous amount of your life to do that. And it's for absolutely no reward other than the thank yous from the people that you work with. And I've often said you can pave somebody's street. They'll be mad at you when there's potholes. They'll be mad at you when the street is nice and flat. They want us to put speed bumps on there to slow people down. But nobody ever was mad at us at the end of a first aid call, right, Kev? No matter what we did or didn't do, they were very, very grateful. And we're very, very lucky here that we still have volunteer at least 12 hours a day and 24 hours a day on the weekend, and the fire department is 24/7. Not too many towns in Middlesex County or any place in the state still have that. So we're very, very lucky. The volunteers in this town, I can't tell you, no matter what it is, they're absolutely wonderful. And for the residents of this town, I already said how I feel about all you guys up here. So I already passed the tissues to Vince, so I'm not going to do that again. So I wish to the residents of this town and everybody up here and everybody here, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and please, when you leave, have some coffee and cake and cookies before you leave. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Novak.
I hope so.
We're going to move to Water, Sewer, and Environmental, Councilman Sinarski.
Thank you very much. I want to congratulate Sergeant Robert for his promotion and the other officers that are on there. I'm very proud of Saraville Police Department also. Just thinking about the years of service that Vicky and Mary and Vince put in, and I want to congratulate them again on their years and years of service and wish them a merry, happy holiday. On the water and sewer, I had the honor of Monday going with the superintendent. I spent a half a day with him at the water treatment plant on Boardtown Avenue, and I was very proud of everything I saw. My background was in that, but on the other side, and everything was running extremely smooth. And the other thing that impressed me is the morale of the employees. Everybody was just like seemed happy to be there. They were all working together. It was a very nice experience. I'd like to continue that. I want to go further out and explore more things in the water and sewer department. And also I attended an environmental meeting. And I want to thank Glenn for all he put in for the moving of putting up the proposals to move the plots from MacArthur Avenue to the new location. Outstanding footwork on his part, and I want to thank him personally for that also. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Wow. Well, I told you that Water Sewer Department is second to none. It's impressive. Half a day easily, and you could probably go back and still see more. So thanks for doing that. I know that they appreciated that.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on now to Planning and Zoning. Council President Anoha, please.
Thank you, esteemed Mayor. We'd definitely like to take a moment to first and foremost thank Councilman Conti, Councilwoman Novak, and yourself, esteemed Mayor, for the time taken to enjoy the privilege of serving our borough. I think Councilman Conti mentioned that it's a huge accomplishment, I think in his words, to be a representative of, give or take 45,000 folks. So I just want to take a moment to say congratulations again for the time put in and for the huge and awesome achievement that you all have risen to for the time. So just want to say congratulations and, best well wishes to your future endeavors. And to the folks on the planning board, I also want to extend my thanks. I know I see one of you here, and to those that may be watching online at this moment or in a future date, I want to say thank you and congratulations to the board as a whole for our experiences together and for what we were able to accomplish together, more specifically to the master plan and just our ability to represent and serve the viewpoints of our residents towards all applications in their various capacities. So thank you again and congratulations to all that we've been able to accomplish together. And wishing the board, of course, the best of well wishes towards its future endeavors and to the new applicants and potentially new members, even potentially from a councilman perspective. So I just want to say thank you again and congratulations to the board as a whole, the chair, the vice chair, all the new folks within the board. So thank you. And I think so far that's what we can say for now. We're grateful for the progress that we've had and looking forward to more progress. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Council President. For my remarks, we have some business that I just want to attend to first while I'm here. And one of the first things that I want to make certain that I remind everybody as residents is it is very, very important. Anytime there's a change, January is when things happen. So I'm going to implore everybody that's listening, that's watching, and that is here. January 1st and moving forward, when there are appointments, that is going to be the decisions that are the lifeblood of our town. Our professionals are who we rely on in order to help us make the best decisions up here. And those professionals that will be appointed in January, I'm hopeful that those that I was able to appoint will remain, but in the event that they do not, please pay attention to that. Please make sure that you realize that we have a lot of, again, litigation and a lot of projects that are underway right now. The professionals that are in place right now are aware of those things, and there is a bit of a learning curve that comes with that. So as residents, also remember that whenever there's a change in council, there is history. It's just like when somebody retires, okay? You lose some of that history and that knowledge. And there is no doubt in my mind that the council people that are coming in to sit here, they are going to be focused and they are going to serve, but it's going to take them a while to get their bearings. It took me a long time. It's not a job that you walk into right away and everything makes sense. You have to learn, you have to listen, and some of the issues that we have before us, there really is no time for a learning curve. As residents, you have been paying attention. So please come to the microphone, pick up the phone, get onto the Zoom, and make sure that your voices are heard again. Just because you spoke at previous meetings doesn't mean that every single person up here and every single professional is hearing what you've said. They're new, they're different. You have to do that. This is our town. It is your town. And you need to make sure that the people that you've elected are listening to what you need. So that is extremely important. And that's why I want to make sure that everybody does. Taking the Facebook is one thing, but Facebook doesn't vote. The board votes. This is where you need to come, okay? In addition to that, so please pay attention to what's going on. Secondly, there is going to be committees that are going to have appointments made to them. We already have learned throughout the course of the past 4 years and beyond that the redevelopment agency is one of the most important boards in addition to the planning board and the Board of Adjustments. Those boards, they hold certain powers, some of which enables them to not have to go before the council on certain things. Some of them will make changes to the landscape of our town forever. The individuals that are appointed to those boards need to know that you're watching. They need to hear your voices. I fought really, really, really hard in order to make sure that those boards are not just meeting in a room and people have to come in person to see and hear what's happening. Please take advantage of that transparency now, because as quickly as it's been here, it can go away just as fast. Just as fast. More involvement is what we need. If anything, if I could ask for anything over the past 10 years, is to engage more residents. Don't let that stop. Find new ways in order to make the council bring more information to you. There were just two more things that I had forgotten to mention, one of which I can't believe because it's, in addition to my daughters, it's my other children. There's thousands upon thousands of them. And I know that many of them are watching tonight because they told me, Ms. Kilpatrick, is today your last council meeting as the mayor? And I say, they're my people. My students are my people.
And I said, yeah. And they said, so you're not going to be tired on Tuesday then, right? I want to just say to them, thank you, because they surprisingly stop me at every single moment of every single step of every single day, and they will tell me what bothers them, from parks to roads to buses to birds to trees, you name it. If there's gum on the sidewalk, they're going to tell me about it. But one of the things that always, always, always makes me stop in my tracks is they turn around and they look at me and they say, wow, you're really the mayor and your teacher and you have 2 girls in high school? And I say, yes, all of that is true. And then I look at them and I say, and you can do all of that and more. I think one of the biggest gifts that this town has given me is being able to serve and being able to tell my students that you can do anything. There is no limit to what you are capable of. And they see that, and I watch them, especially the young ladies. They look and you can see it in their eyes. And it's funny because when I started teaching 22 years ago, even though I tell them I'm only 25 and I'm like Sheldon Cooper and I started when I was 3, they look and they go, like, a girl can really be a mayor? I go, girl can be anything. A boy can be anything you want. Never let anybody put a ceiling on where you are. But the girls especially, they just look and they say, wow, I want to do that. So we do New Year's resolutions, and we do a couple of different things like your future self. And I have watched over the years from prior to me being in these positions to now, and you wouldn't believe how many of our young people in middle school now, their goals are, I want to be the president. I want to be the mayor. I want to be a council person. I want to volunteer. And honestly, the residents here gave me that opportunity, not for myself, but for our future. And that really makes me proud. Donna, I'll say one of the first things that you wanted to do was you wanted to have our internships come in and our high school students doing that. And that's really my passion. And I'm so grateful to be able to put 150% into that passion again. And I forget all the time. My students remind me, like, do you know, Mrs. Kilpatrick, you're only the 2nd female mayor in the town? Like, get out. Are you serious? So I want to thank the town for giving me the opportunity to be a part of our history. Because long after I am gone, I hope that just proves to everybody that anyone, if they want something hard enough, they can get it. I watched Hamilton with my daughter in New York City. Addison's my theater girl. And one of the things they say in Hamilton is put more women in the sequel. Put women in the sequel. Let's get more women. Because we've had quite a lot up here. Gentlemen, I love you. But there's just something about that. Keep putting women in the sequel. Long time ago when the first mayor served, it was called Petticoat Junction here because there were herself and 4 other members that were women. And we repeated that. It's going to be a little bit of a break, but I say let's bring it back. All right. So thank you all. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. And I'll be around. So thank you. We're going to move now to our public portion. Ladies and gentlemen, please step forward or raise your hand if you have anything for the good of the cause. Anybody? Oh my gosh, hand up. Let's see, that's pretty far down. Oh no. Syed, is that you again? Mr. Syed?
Yes, am I muted? Am I audible?
No, you're okay now. I can see, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Perfect. Once again, thank you, everyone. So just wanted to bring a situation I have on my street, 3 Sophie Street, pole number 755, I think 755 or 756. The light is out since June. I
my.
have gone and created a ticket with the light company. As per suggestion, last time when I was in a meeting that you guys don't fix the lights. So I went ahead and created that ticket. They came and they say we changed the bulb. Apparently the problem was not fixed. Then I created tickets back in August. The light was out in July. Nothing was done. They said change the bulb. But back in November, I again created a ticket. The second one involved the manager. And then she said that somebody will come and look at it. So I guess it takes quite a bit of engineering to fix one pole. So anything before your departure, you guys can help us out to brighten our street again. That will create a bright future for you in your next environment.
At this point, I think to get light is almost an act of God here. Let me turn this over to Glenn. Glenn, I mean, am I gonna have to climb a pole before I'm officially out of office? It might have to happen.
No, the update I got from Jersey Central was that we're about 85% through with the bulb replacements. They did identify a number of fixtures that need to be completely replaced. There's a third-party company that's coming in to do that work because that's separate from bulbs. I know I mentioned to Mr. Robinson last meeting, I owed him a streetlight survey. That's not yet complete, but we'll endeavor to get that done to get a fully accurate count. But look, I share that when we got the initial list from the police department, we couldn't send them in a batch. So I sat and spent about a half a day doing individual work orders for all of the lights that were reported. So we'll continue with the follow-up. And if Mr. Syed, if you give me your street name again, because I didn't.
Sophie.
It's a street name is Sophie Street and pole number is 758. And if you want, I can also give you the order number or ticket number.
No, that's okay, because I know that was on my original list as well, but we'll continue to follow up. We've made great progress. It's still not completely done yet. I apologize. If it was in our control, we would have it done. We endeavor to continue, but we've fixed more than we now have broken, and I hope in short order to have that done. We'll continue to work on that problem.
I believe on light is at the end of the tunnel, so I'm sure it will be fixed when it comes to under your intention.
Thank you for your illuminating comments.
Oh, thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thanks, Mr. Syed. I have another hand up, AJV.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Mayor Kilpatrick. This is Julie Velaz. I just wanted to come on and say thank you for allowing me to be your communications liaison for the last 3 years and have the esteemed honor to work with the council. It started as something small, and then 3 years later, we've won awards. We've competed against some of the biggest accounts, and 3 years later, we have won awards every year. We have over thousands of posts on Facebook. We've grown our complete and utter presence in town. The Borough Blast has become a place where people come to information, and Say TV is more than just the town council meetings. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, to all the council members that always gave me content, to Glenn, who's always sending me things to post to make sure that the town is informed, to the Borough Clerk's office for always, again, keeping me abreast of anything that's coming in and out. And I just want to say thank you for allowing me to serve for the last 3 years. I myself, and also singing my swan song and putting my pen down. So I wish whomever's taking over to continue with the amount of rigor, professionalism, and cadence that we have established for the last 3 years. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Glenn, and the rest of the team, Tom Brocken, for partnering with me these last 3 years. So I just want to say thank you. Good luck, Mary. Good luck, Vince, and for the rest of the council. Thank you again for allowing me to serve you and the town.
Thank you. Julie, thank you so very much. I don't think people realized, I just have to underscore this. 4 years ago, when I took this chair, we did not have any communication that we reached out to the township with. Other than Say TV and the wonderful work of our police department, quite honestly, their Facebook pages and our other department pages were up and running. Glenn, I think you know about our Facebook on our PD page. But it's, we had very limited reach to our residents. And one of the biggest things, it was before COVID. Thank God in teaming up with the people here and bringing on Julie, we very quickly established, for the first time ever in Saraville, a Saraville Borough Facebook page. We very quickly established a borough blast in order to get information out. Now we have 10,000 plus residents. I don't even remember what that last count was. We actually had a way to reach out to residents. And it was crazy to me that it was 2020 and we had never done that. And here now we have this rolling, and I know it's going to continue. Julie, you've done a great job with that. I know that it will continue to be strong. And again, even bigger and even better. We need to be able to make sure that our residents knows what's going on. It is 2024, people. It's just got to get bigger and more often. Julie, I remember our first campaign together, Stay Home for Saraville. And we won awards on that very first one. It's absolutely, we are recognized by state groups with our Facebook and with our social media platform, and the sky is the limit. We have to keep doing that. So thank you, Julie, from the bottom of my heart for that. And wherever you end up, I know that whoever you work with, they are going to be forever grateful and appreciative of the work you did. Thank you. Anybody else? I've got a bunch of people. Would it be mean of me if I'm going to start over here, then I'm going to go over here, and then I'm going to go over here? Please come up.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
I got you.
All right.
Yeah.
Do I need to do my name and stuff first?
Yes, just
Okay.
yells if we don't.
Okay, my name is Carol Angley. I live on Ash Terrace. Been there since March 1954. Reason why I'm talking now is I went to the last Board of Education meeting, and I'm disgusted at the behavior that was shown at that meeting. I don't know if you know anything about it, but I thought I'd make you aware of the situation and what happened. I also saw a video of the planning board. They're aware of what happened as well. The Board of Education has a 3-minute time limit. And I know here you have a 5-minute limit. At one of your meetings that I attended, one board member politely warned, oh, thank you, reminded the speaker in a very courteous manner that he was nearing the end of his time limit. And he did go over a little bit, but nothing was said. He was allowed to finish. Not once was he forced to finish speaking or threatened with removal. At the Board of Education meeting, they abruptly and rudely interrupted one citizen at the end of the 3 minutes while he was speaking. And when he tried to finish his last thought, they repeatedly spoke over him and wouldn't let him finish. Some of us even offered to give him our 3 minutes, like they do in Congress. I yield my time, right. But they said, oh, no, we don't do that here. And the next thing I knew is they tried to get security to remove him. And of course, he was speaking about the bus depot situation. So of course, they didn't like that much. When he tried to go back up to speak on a slightly different topic, and their policy is that someone can go back up once everyone else is finished, when they, to say something, They were again disrespectful and rude. The security people stood next to him, and for quite a while, they wouldn't let him speak. Since they had let someone else speak again to clarify a question that he had asked, this gentleman asked for the same courtesy. And they did begrudgingly let him speak. To say that his question had not been answered. And all he wanted to do was ask a question. What sites besides Cheesequake Road had been explored? The answer, Dr. Labby said bluntly and a little sarcastically that they would just have to use the sites by our elementary schools and high school. This is someone who is supposed to care about our kids. That's the reason why they started buying the buses in the first place. They care about the kids. Now, I understand the reasoning behind buying the buses. And we do need a place to park them. But I still don't understand why they didn't plan on where to park them when they first started buying the buses 6 years ago. And also, as has been said several times, it seems they didn't follow proper procedures. I also got the impression from Dr. Labby that this is what he wants, and he is not willing to even work with the borough to find a more appropriate site. The fact that he's suing the borough is a good indication of his intentions. I don't know if the attitude comes from ego, an unwillingness to accept that a mistake was made, or a refusal to accept the consequences of their actions. There was no reason for this attitude at all. At the beginning of the meeting, they had honored a group of girl athletes. And when they were done, they left. And I was glad they did, because I had to wonder, what would they think about what was going on? You know, I mean, if one of them had that kind of attitude, the board sure as hell wouldn't put up with it. By the end of the meeting, I was actually beginning to wonder if I was in America anymore. It was that bad. I don't know how things will end up. I don't understand why they felt the need to sue the borough instead of working together to find a better solution, and know that you can't discuss pending litigation. I hope something can be done. I have no doubt that there are better places in town for the bus depot where it won't affect residential areas and would probably have better access to roads. I'm just picturing the buses pulling out onto Bordentown Avenue or going out towards Bordentown Avenue with light there, holding up traffic. Then the train tracks are there. What if a train comes? I guarantee that some of those bus drivers are going to cut through Laurel Park. Anyway, that's why I wanted to come up. I just am shocked at what happened. And sorry to see you go. And thank you all for everything you've done. And hopefully this situation can be resolved. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Healthy New Year. And we'll just have to see how it goes. Thank you.
Thank you for coming back again. I know you've been here quite a few meetings. I will say, and I hope that this continues when I'm gone, we do have a 5-minute limit that we do put on, that we ask residents to be mindful of. But I have said it from the moment that I've been in front of this microphone. 5 minutes, I ask you to please keep your comments to that. So that way, if there's other people that want to speak, I want everyone to feel like they can speak on an issue. But I will never, ever, ever, and never have completely stopped a resident from speaking, even if they've gone over or told them they could not come back up. There's been only a couple of times, it might have been Jim or it might have been Ken, where I know they had a lot to say, but there were a lot of people. So I had asked them if they would pause where they were so I could bring up another individual and then let them come back. You're the taxpayer. You have the right to speak. So I hope that that continues with the new mayor, I'm hopeful that he will realize the residents are the voice. So thank you for coming, and I'm glad that you feel comfortable here to speak. Okay? I'm a little partial here. I have a young lady that I do kind of know that I think it's only her second, no, maybe fourth meeting total. You can come on up. Mhm. So you have to state your name and address for the record, miss.
I'm Addison Pace Kilpatrick, 12 Longwood Drive, Serval, New Jersey. That is my mom there, the mayor, Miss Kilpatrick, and well, all I gotta say is I'm very proud of you. You've done things that I didn't think you could, and you showed me that maybe one day I could be as powerful with your voice, with your mannerisms, and you stand here very tall today, even though you're short.
I'm wearing my glasses.
You stand here very tall today, and you know, I'll always love you. And I want you to know that you've really inspired me. You've inspired my voice. I'm very soft-spoken, and you made me want to speak up today to tell you that I love you, and that I want to thank everyone here today that they are doing things to make this town better, even though some people have other opinions and, you know, sometimes they're rude. But my mom has shown me that you don't need to silence the voices. Just let them talk, and then when they're done, you can do what's right. And you always do what's right. And I love you so much. And I hope that one day, maybe I could be a mayor. Maybe I could be president. Maybe I could do something meaningful that people will look back on fondly.
Two, the other one's over there too. And I know that you would say ditto, right? Do any wonder why I want to breathe? Love you, Bill. Poor Bill. You probably don't have memories of being in a whole lot. You know. I think that's the first time she's ever been in front of a microphone other than in third grade when she graduated from Wilson. You just want to make sure I don't change my mind. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you. Okay, I have more hands. I promise, Bob, and it'll come to Jim and to Ken, okay? These are bigger than me. Yeah. Love her.
Bob Duffy, 111 Merritt Avenue. I don't know if I could beat that. I just want to say a few things. Number one, the last 2.5 years has been challenged. It's remarkable. And the only thing I could say, Mayor, you were the right person at the right time. I don't know what this town would be if you weren't there. So, right person at the right time. Mrs. Novak, I want to thank you for your knowledge and also dedicating your family for public service. You should have had more. Mr. Conti, I seen something on the other side of you a couple of meetings ago, how you were so entrenched about the children of this town. It's nice to see that, and also a good father. I'm going to ask you a favor. Go to the Board of Education meetings. We need people there to straighten that. That's a runaway agency. If you feel that strong, you need to go there, because a guy like you can change things. Okay? Now, to the 4 remaining council people, I would like to say, I've been around the block a few times. I've dealt with lawyers before, a lot of them. Some are good, some are bad. What I seen this year, the town attorney and his firm is outstanding. It's no D's or R's. He strictly goes by the book, knows the rules and regulations, and knows how to protect the township. I'm hoping the 4 of yous that are still on this board can take control and put him back in that seat. It's going to be a rocky road after January. And we had enough of people coming into this town, taking jobs and doing nothing but lining their pockets. Think that. Remember where we were 2.5 years ago. Certain professionals, and I have to thank this council for getting rid of some of them, because they weren't good for Sayreville. Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Bob. Jim, come on up. I'm gonna miss you most, Scarecrow.
Thank you,
From
Mayor
Voice
Jim
of the
Robinson,
Boss.
11 Rell Square in Parkland. And like the others, I want to thank you and the 2 council folks who are leaving. Vince, when I was in high school, I started working for John McCormick when he was the recreation director back in 1973. So I have a great affinity for the recreation department, and I very much appreciate your involvement with the youth and what you've done there. Since you put that fence up at the skate park, I've given up skateboarding there. So I haven't interacted with you as much over the years as I have with the others, but Mayor, you and Mary, I really interacted with you on a very close basis during the COVID situation that started in 2015, 2016. And the people of this town obviously don't know what they owe you because of your dedication and your knowledge and your hard work, and how, because of your efforts, that absolute mess was made less of a mess. Still a mess because of the number of market rate apartments, but it is much less of a mess. And people obviously don't understand what you did there and what you saved them. And they're going to live with what unfortunately was approved. And I do want to say this, I've come up a lot since then, and I hadn't gone to council meetings since John McCormick left when he went out as mayor, until I got involved in this COA situation. And Mayor, you were the council president, then Mary was on the council, then later you became the mayor. I've come up to this microphone many, many times, and Some of my comments, ideas, and suggestions have been off the wall. I admit that. But you've always been kind and gracious. You've listened, you've been responsive, receptive, and respectful. And one of the things I like about you is you're not suing the taxpayers like another board in this town is, and that's I appreciate that very much. Still tough, still hard for me to wrap my head around that. And Mayor, I want to say two things on a personal level. During the midst of COVID, I called you because my son and his wife wanted to get married. And we were still wearing masks and, you know, it wasn't very easy to do. And you said, yep, of course I'll do that. When and where? And we picked a park outside and it was just a few of us. And you did that. And I am very, very grateful for that. And now, as you know, there are many times you'll call me in the afternoon and you'll hear two little kids in the background because I'm babysitting, and that is all a result of that marriage. And also on a personal level, I didn't know what to get Jay for Christmas. But a Mary Poppins t-shirt. Jay, are you a large? Or I think I'm going to get him a Mary Poppins t-shirt because of your comments and with which I agree. And I want to echo everything everybody else said about this governing body. But it is close to the end of the year, and I do have some business things that I'd like to bring up. And one is the Board of Education suit. I saw that there was nothing on the agenda. I assume you've all received it. I think I sent it to some of you. I got a copy of it. Still shaking my head about that. I don't know who is going to defend the borough, but I can tell you this. I have probably a dozen emails that I will share with council that I sent to Dr. Labby and the Board of Education about other sites, about the Arsenal traffic report and how much traffic there would be on Cheesequake Road, about environmental considerations and about the need to go before the planning board. And as you know, all of those things were disregarded and ignored. So if my emails can be of any help in this absurd ego-driven suit caused by the highest paid public employee in the borough not getting his way, I will be very happy to share those things with you. So maybe at some point we'll talk about, have you received that and you've gotten all the attachments, and it is
Jim, if I
mind-boggling.
can,
The other,
just because I want to make sure that it does get to whatever attorney's representing us, those emails that you have right now, our borough attorney is here until the end of the year. Yeah, till
At least.
at least December
least.
31st.
okay.
If you send him that information
I
that
will
you
be
have.
very happy to sound. I'm not going to
If-
make you Oprah it either.
Yeah.
I'm just going to send it to you.
I will say, the reason why I would want to do that is because in the event that, God forbid, Sean is not in this seat come January 1,
Mhm.
you would then be able to turn that over to the attorney that would be
And
representing us.
I'll be very happy to copy the clerk if you think that's appropriate.
Yeah, thank you
so
for that,
so
Jim.
so that we have that. We're also being sued over the pilot denial. I saw one of those charges there was that it was made by motion, not by a resolution. If they want a resolution, let's give them a resolution. I'm not the attorney, so I'm not going to get involved in that, but I think that maybe there's something there. At the meeting that was denied, which I think was in October, I then asked if the Phoenix report would be available. And I think it was Sal who was here.
Yeah, I think it
I
was
still
Sal.
don't know if that Phoenix report is available to me. I haven't gotten it, I know that. So I would have an interest in that. Also, there was, Mayor, you had called for an investigation into some things. And I know that there was some, we were looking at an auditor, then there was a second part, which was an investigator. I want to make sure, what's the status of that? Was that done? You know, we're nearing the end of the year.
Mhm.
I
we
want to
have
make sure
any
that doesn't fall
change-
through the cracks. So where are we with
Glenn,
that?
do we have any change to that? We had made the appointment went through as far as having we decided, the council decided on who that investigator would be. Where are we in reference
We
to?
heard from the investigator, and their concern is that they won't be able to do any appreciable amount of work for the not to exceed amount that was attached to the resolution.
That's what I was
So we're gonna
afraid
have
of.
to- You're gonna have to collectively authorize additional funding or a higher level.
That's what I was concerned about.
Well, that could be done tonight, couldn't it?
I would think so. Can that be, yeah, that can absolutely
Was
be
the
done.
council aware of that?
I was aware that the guy wanted over 125,000. I think that's.
Well, I might have a suggestion that might address that too. And you know, the more I get into this, that investigation is necessary. We have to look at everything that individual was involved with. And there's still a lot of folks in the borough that are here by virtue of his recommendation or involvement. And it extends beyond the borough. Some professionals on the Board of Education might be there, believe it or not, thanks to his suggestion or recommendation. And so it's, you know, we have to look at that. And a lot of us remember, I don't know how many years ago it was, 5, 6 years ago, there was another situation. And then Mayor O'Brien called for an investigation, issued a press release, said we were going to do this, that, and the other thing. We're going to get to the bottom, but never materialized. It was a press release and that was it. Nothing ever happened. I want to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And perhaps, I'll even say this, perhaps had that been done, some of the other stuff that we are now finding out about, you know, some folks might have learned their lessons and we might not be involved in some of the things we're involved in right now. And Mayor, I do want to say this. I asked for a copy of the report that the planning board sent to the Department of Education after the board finally came in for their presentation. I want to tell you, you have made a lot of good appointments, Mayor. Your appointments to the planning board were excellent. I read that report. It was fantastic. And if the Department of Education doesn't react to that and rethink their approval, there's something missing there. Because that's how a board that takes its job seriously and follows the law and understands their obligation under law, that's how a board should work. So I have nothing but the highest praise for the planning board and the chairman and the other members that you appointed, because that was really, that was very well done. I'm
My
not gonna get
worry,
into
Jim, is a couple of those seats. One of those members, he's actually seated here with us today and he gave the presentation to the council
heard
with
that
the update.
presentation, yes.
That was, that's Anthony Sposato, and I can't say enough about him, just as a person in general and as an individual that takes every job so seriously and does 100% beyond. His term is going to be coming up. So it's going to be before the new mayor, whether or not Anthony gets reappointed to that seat, as well as one of the other appointments that I was able to make, which was Hervé. He is phenomenal, and I believe his appointment is also up. So I do have reservations and concerns. Obviously, the mayor has that ability to appoint who he wants without the consent of the council. But I really hope, my hope is that Mayor O'Brien does see the work, the effort, the precision to detail and the professionalism that board has.
At some
Any
point-
reappoints.
At some point in time, I might talk about what I know about the appointments to the planning board in the
Yeah,
past. and
I'm
hopefully
hopeful that I'm holding out hope and saying some prayers for all of us and as residents. Again, appointments are made, but you're allowed to speak on those. Get the right people in.
And I will say this, I served on the Board of Education and I served for many years on the planning board. Had this Board of Education had the dedication and tenacity and taken their job as seriously as the planning board did, we would not be in this mess. But it seemed, I went to the meeting and as the woman indicated, she couldn't believe what went on. I couldn't believe what went on. And I'm not talking about how they try to shut me up. I'm talking about how the members, except for the president, who just kept telling me to sit down and be quiet, none of the members had anything to say on this topic. There apparently was a Section 8 meeting, but when they were asked questions, they didn't even acknowledge that they had discussed this. And they have surrendered their judgment and their authority to a superintendent who I just have to question. But that's not the way democracy is supposed to work. That's not the way a Board of Education is supposed to work. I don't know about anybody else here, but I didn't elect Dr. Labby to anything. I voted for members of that Board of Education, and I expected them to represent the citizens and the students and the taxpayers of the town, not to sit there dumb, not to sit there silently. I was shocked. I'm not going to get into streetlights other than to say I might disagree that 85% of what were out have been fixed. There was a ballot question. Glenn and I had a very brief conversation about this the other day. There was a ballot question which was defeated, and that would have allowed the money to be taken from the Open Space Committee to be spent over here at the Blue Acres project. And I opposed that, as you know, because I thought it was too broad and there was no limit and we didn't know what the plan was. But I would love to be able to support in the coming years something that will improve that situation there on Weber Avenue, whether it be taking some money from the $2.6 million we have in the tree bank or some other way, just not the way that it was proposed. So I'd like to get in the loop on that. And if there is a report, Glenn said there wasn't any report. I was a little surprised because I didn't think we would have a ballot question if there hadn't yet been an actual and a report that was actionable. But what is the status of that? Is there going to be a report? Are there going to be ideas that we can build on going forward?
Well, in terms of the broader project that involved the referendum, no, because we weren't going to spend money on a plan without having a funding to back it up and to move forward with it. So at this point, the only thing that there was a plan for, if you want to call it that, is to plant wildflowers and native grasses on the Blue Acre parcels that were previously acquired by the state through the buyout. That planting should be done by the end of the week. Outside of that, until we have a funding opportunity, it's really pointless to move forward with any kind of planning because
We are
an
selling
unfunded
some property
exercise.
on Journey Mill Road for $20 million, right?
We are.
And that's a little bit of a funding opportunity.
There is.
I would say. So I would hope that this would go forward. My opposition to it was that there was no plan at the time. So it was a blank check. And it shouldn't come from the Open Space Fund, which brings me to the next item on my agenda, Mayor. There are two suggestions you made. One was to buy the 40 acres behind Kennedy Park, and one was to buy the property opposite Sherwood Forest on Main Street. And I know how other mayors have dealt with open space and purchasing of open space and vetoing ordinances and discouraging the purchase of open space. I want to make sure this gets done. So where are we on this?
So glad you asked, Jim. So I was able to talk to Sean actually at the end of our last meeting. And there is a little bit of a, what would you say, procedural mechanism that needs to occur. These And I'm gonna have him explain exactly what has to happen, because we can do this.
Mhm.
These acres can be preserved, without a doubt. They can be moved into that open space category. What needs to occur, I'll ask Sean to just go over it with you. So again, residents, you're going to need to be loud and clear here and make this happen.
Yeah, and Jim, with your background in planning board experience, you know that when the town introduces on first reading an ordinance to change the zone, it has to go to the planning board for their scrutiny.
Yes.
And so we just ran out of time. And unfortunately,
Well, we didn't run it. There's time.
yeah,
There's
no,
no
no.
time
I might have a
For this year,
suggestion.
for this year.
Okay.
Maybe the new administration can take it up in January.
But when Jim said,
Okay, so now, but you're talking about the Cheesequake Road property?
both,
Mr. Robinson is talking about two other parcels, not the Cheesecake Road.
I was
Oh,
gonna
are
talk
you
about that
talking
next. The
about-
Cheesequake Road property has to be put on the open space inventory and the planning board.
oh, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun here
Yes.
because I have 40.5 acres in my brain right now, so I was thinking
Okay.
of those. That's what he's referencing. That's what Sean's referencing is as far as.
Well, the 40 acres doesn't have to go to the planning board, does it?
What is the 40 acres? Remind me?
That's the
40
Kennedy Park.
acres is the property immediately adjacent to Kennedy Park that the mayor suggested we purchase, that Mayor McCormick has wanted us to purchase since,
Yeah,
I don't know,
we
the
should have,
1980s.
we agreed that we would move forward with those discussions and negotiations with the two appraisals. If the third one comes in, then great. If not, we can still have those discussions.
Okay.
But I don't believe that, where are we with those negotiations?
There is no, the only knowledge I have of this is you ordered the tax assessor to obtain the assessor, the appraisal.
Right,
That's the only,
and he has the two appraisals.
I
He
haven't
has
seen
two.
them. He hasn't sent them to me.
Well, just ask
Well,
him for them.
That's why I continue to ask.
Yeah. Just,
Because I want to make sure this gets done.
I don't
Um,
like when people in the town, they know what the intention here was. They should be communicating. Glenn, you got to communicate with Joe. Because it's my understanding that at least two of the appraisals are in. And we authorize as a council to say, we'll move forward with discussions and contacts. And then await the third one. If it comes in, great. And if it doesn't, then we would stick
That's
with
right. And I
two.
recall Councilwoman Roberts agreed.
Yeah,
with
she
that,
did.
that you'd go with the two, and if you got the third, fine, but if not, not. But,
Mhm,
you know, too many things, too many important things fall through the cracks. And it's important probably now more than ever. The other thing, there's been a lot of talk about the tree bank ordinance. Lately, I think, I know I wrote that, and I think it was in 1992. And I've looked at those numbers, and I know there's the equal biomass provision in there, Jay, but there's also, I think it's, and so that everybody understands, the purpose of that ordinance was to be a deterrent to knocking down trees. But if a developer had to, they would pay. And I think that amount is $100. No? Pardon me? 250. Okay, all right. Well, that's an improvement because when I think we spent 26,000 for 87 trees, and that comes out to about 290, that comes out to about $300. So I think we ought to take a look at that.
It was 250 a tree.
250 a tree? Okay. All right. So that we're on target, but as inflation increases, we ought to take a look at that and increase that if we have to. So there is a lot of unfinished business. There are those two parcels of open space. I had suggested, and Sean, I think it was Sal or somebody was here and made notes. I suggested a while ago that there be minor modifications to our land use and SARA applications. And SARA is important because they are the committee that recommends pilots. And if something goes to SARA, it's a redevelopment and is entitled to at least be considered for a pilot. And so that I made a suggestion that would require disclosure of those who contributed to independent political committees as well as candidates that have to be disclosed. I don't know what happened with that. I know this, that if we were to have a second meeting this December, normally we have two and we canceled one because it's Christmas. Now, putting aside the fact that you got your flowers and we all said these nice things, and you got your plaques, but I don't think the plaque has a date on them. This wouldn't be an additional meeting. This would be a meeting because we canceled one. So you could have a meeting on the 27th or 28th or 29th. And the ordinance I'm talking about, we could introduce by title now, tonight, by title, and vote for it then if the council was so inclined, because they're the two open space things that you really ought to move on before the end of the year. There's that modification about people having to disclose their, in the interest of transparency. In the last election we had in this town, transparency was a big issue. So in the interest of transparency, I think everybody would agree we should do that. We could find out exactly where we are on that investigation. And if something has to be done, that could be moved forward so that doesn't, so the same thing that happened 5-6 years ago when the then mayor said we're going to have an investigation that never transpired, so that doesn't happen, because this is my concern, that the former and future mayor doesn't have a good record with respect to open space or transparency when it comes to committees contributing to officials or investigations, like the one he said a few years ago we were going to conduct. So, you could tonight say that we're going to do these things and have a meeting before the end of the year. I know it's a little bit of inconvenient. People like to party over there. Everybody likes to do that. But, there is the people. I don't think you want to leave office knowing that these things haven't been done. And these aren't minor things. This isn't, making equipment operator 1, equipment operator 2. These are pretty important things. And I really can't think of more important things that you've discussed in a while. So in the recent future. So for those of you leaving, thank you very much for your service. You've always been courteous, even when I've come up with off the wall ideas that are maybe a little inconvenient, like having another meeting. But I hope you will consider that. To those celebrating Christmas and Hanukkah seasons, greetings to you. But I hope there will be one more time that we will meet. And then I will wish all of you a happy new year at that meeting when you conduct a lot of unfinished business. Okay? Thank you
Jim.
very much.
Go ahead, Council President.
See, Mayor, I think that Mr. Robinson brought up a couple of good comments. I wanted to know if we'd be able to address some of them now, or do we still
Listen,
go into
I,
other public comments?
everything that Jim brought up here at the microphone, I mentioned and brought to this council for a reason, because I wanted it acted on, because I wanted to turn around and be able to say that we have moved forward with progress on multiple fronts, covering multiple different things. Listen, I'll turn around and send Haley and Addie to Grammy's house, and I'll sneak out the door and be here for this next meeting in December, if that's what it takes in order to get things done, because it needs to be done. If we have to turn around and put it on the table today and we don't get a quorum because you have to have a quorum in order to hold that second meeting, we don't get a quorum, then listen, we brought it forward, then it's going to be the responsibility of the next council to see it to its end. And if it moves through, then the town and the residents are well served. If it dies, then the town and the residents need to get louder, and they need to turn around and speak, and they need to turn around and get more involved, because it takes a whole nother year in order to have a new election. So if we can turn around and introduce things tonight in the interest of progress moving forward, whether it's a special meeting before January 1, I'm for it. If it's putting the pressure on the new administration coming in to say, see this through, which is what we would want, then so be it. But it's got to show up somewhere. Because as soon as I walk out the door, that's it. I mean, but I have faith in Dan. I have faith in yourself, Christian. I have faith in Eustache. I have faith in Donna that hopefully you'll see this common sense stuff through. Because you guys are going to be the voice here. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of you. That's a passing vote right there. That's a passing vote right there. So Council President, go ahead. What's your thought?
Christmas is 14 days from now. So what other option days would that? Would it be like the Wednesday of that week or what? How would this really work?
I mean, I'd have to defer over to Jess as far as looking at making sure we advertise in time and we make sure that we but there's a way to do, but more importantly, before we even entertain the idea of a meeting, we have to turn around and see if there's anything to have a meeting for. So you'd have to turn around and put something forward, but I'd have to defer to the attorney. What can we legally do at this juncture for tonight's meeting?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the pay-to-play ordinance, which would limit companies that are proposing pilots, I think that's what Jim was getting at. You would be restricting how they can make political contributions.
Or at least disclosing.
So the state statute passed that took effect for this coming year. So people that are now responding to RFPs and things like that, state statute has trumped all local municipal ordinances.
Okay.
If you're talking about introducing an ordinance tonight that hasn't been written yet, and you're talking about constitutional right of First Amendment, free expression, political contributions, I'm not prepared to recommend that we introduce an ordinance that hasn't been written yet.
Allow me to explain a little bit better. Perhaps I wasn't clear.
I mean, you can explain it all you want. I wouldn't recommend
Our
having the governing
ordinance-
body introduce an ordinance tonight that hasn't been written yet.
Well, we've done that before when there was an
Not
emergent
something like this.
situation. And our ordinance already provides that certain land use applications, you have to disclose your political contributions. Isn't that correct, Mr. Cornell?
Okay,
So the ordinance already provides that. Okay, I don't know if the ordinance provides that for SARA applications, but it should, because that is a much more important board than the zoning board, for instance, as we drive down Cheesequake Road, we'll know that, we'll see that. So the suggestion is that since you are already required to disclose your political contributions, if you go before the Board of Adjustment or the Planning Board, we just add "and" to independent committees. That's all. It's not a whole new thing. It's just adding another classification. So you already have to disclose if you've given to a candidate who sits on the council or sits on the board. This would just say, and if you also contribute to an independent committee that supports these candidates, you have to disclose it. So that's very simple. That's the addition of 4 or 5 words into an existing ordinance. And the other would be to include it, that same requirement for folks who go before SARA. And maybe that's redundant. Maybe that's not necessary, because if you go before SARA, you have to go before the planning board, but the timing is different. The timing is most times. And in fact, a former chairman of SARA once told me the reason they put things in a redevelopment zone is so that they get them before they go to the planning board, so that they can do what they want there. And the planning board really has no choice if the redevelopment ordinance is complied with. It's game playing at its best and at our expense. So all I'm suggesting is you already have to disclose if you've made a contribution to a candidate. Some candidates have figured out you can donate to this committee and nobody will ever know. Well, unless we change our ordinance to say that has to be reported, and unless we include SARA. So if we do it already with respect to contributions to individuals, why not do it with respect to contributions that support those individuals just through a circuitous circumvention?
So the new state statute preempts all municipal ordinances. It would preempt that ordinance you're talking about as well. The law of the land is the new state statute. So I'm sitting up here at 10 o'clock at night. I'm not prepared to say we should introduce an ordinance verbally when you're talking about a complex subject matter. I'm just not going there. It's a good
Okay.
idea to strengthen it. Hey, I think everybody's in favor of transparency, but
I'll accept that.
Yeah.
But it's something, especially since this was the year that we talked about transparency.
Yeah.
So I'm sure next year's council ought to want to do it even more
Yeah.
than this year's council.
I'm curious, you know what I'm curious about now? And again, I'm not supposed to do this. I'm supposed to be a mom. But now I'm sitting here wondering, legislatively speaking at the state level, we need to analyze that statute a little bit better. Because if that's and I know that the law states that statute supersedes ordinance, local usually and all things. So now I'm curious as to what was passed through the state. And is that comprehensive enough? Is that enough transparency or not? And that means that we'd be looking at going to a higher level as
Well, I think Sean
residents.
and I would agree that the bill that the governor signed and was behind, that was called the transparency or some
Just how transparent.
name that does the opposite of what it does. So we ought, and I'm not as familiar with that as I should be, but we ought to take a look at that. And my whole point here is this: if you're coming in for approval to build warehouses, mega warehouses, or hundreds of condos, and apartments, and maybe you're going to ask for a pilot. Well, you know what? The people ought to know if to help guide things along, you've made a contribution to the officials or to a committee that supports those officials. That's all. And I think that's the definition of transparency. So that's all.
100%.
And if we can't do it tonight, plenty of time in the future. Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
But
Jim.
there are some other things that we talked about, making sure that open space goes through.
Mhm.
The investigation, making sure we know where that investigation or those investigations are. I mean, at one time, I know we talked about an auditor and an investigator, then maybe it was just an auditor, and then I raised the question, is it also an investigator? And now we're hearing, well, there's some financial concerns. So maybe all of this can be sorted out so that tonight won't be the last meeting of the year. I get to use my favorite word. It'll be the penultimate meeting of the year, the meeting before the last. And you can go into that good night knowing you have accomplished what you set out to accomplish this year. That's all. Just trying to be helpful
Ready
to
to go.
to you and to the incoming administration.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
Madam Mayor,
Go
I appreciate the clarity from our attorney. I think from my understanding, because regardless of what municipal law we develop, because of new state law that would supersede it, I guess the homework would be to improve our understanding of the new law in place, right?
Yeah.
But there was another thing brought up, I think, towards our BA regarding the investigation, right?
Yes.
And it sounds like we have, we put out an RFP for a job to be done, and the company accepted it for a certain price. And then at the last minute, they said that they can't do that job for that listed price or amount. Was there any, additional clarity? And then what exactly can we really do about that, right? Like, how is that, fair in a sense, right? Because there are other people not granted that job then that also said that they may be willing to do it for that fee. What do we do in this case?
There was never a comprehensive fee settled on. The direction that I got from the council was a not to exceed for $25,000. That was communicated to the respondent. That triggered a phone call from the respondent, and he explained to me, he said, you realize that this is not anywhere near enough money to even do a most rudimentary investigation based on the nature of the work that needs to get done. It's very time consuming, it's very labor intensive, involving various financial professionals. And they're hesitant to embark on the work because $25,000 will go like that, and they'll make not any kind of progress toward achieving what you're trying to achieve with the study.
But again, they're communicating this after accepting the award or
No,
no?
they had no idea. They had no idea. They put in the RFP.
Okay.
The council chose them as the vendor. The council set the standard by which they're willing to pay for it. They were subsequently informed of that, and they said, we can't do anything formative for that little bit of money.
And that was my concern when we, if you remember during that meeting, in coming up with the not to exceed dollars, knowing how big of a situation we were dealing with, that this is not a surprise to me that we're in this situation. And it's not a surprise to me that here we are going on a significant amount of time that this has been asked for, and we're still nowhere. That's a problem. That's a problem. And an attorney to turn around and come in and say, wow, look at all of this. You know that the attorney that took this on has been following the news and at least has some idea of what we were looking at. For them to turn around and say, yo, this is big. We're gonna need big. I mean, what does that tell you as residents? That tells me, holy cow. There could be a lot of problems here. But again, I have faith in a lot of the people that are up here, and I have faith in some of the people coming up come January 1. What a disservice to the residents it would be if this just turns around and gets dropped. Because we will never get out from that cloud. We will never get out from that worry. We will never get out from whatever might be lurking in there if we just let it sit and fester and fester and fester. You have an infection, you don't keep putting a Band-Aid and a bigger Band-Aid and a bigger Band-Aid on top of it. You don't just turn around and put another carpet and another carpet and another carpet on it, because eventually it comes out. That's my worry.
Esteemed Mayor, on that topic, right? I think I heard Councilwoman Novak mention a number that, the firm awarded, mentioned. I'm not sure if I heard it correctly though. But I guess to our BA, is there an amount that they, 125?
125 to do a fair initial job. It could lead to the additional expenditure of funds, but they expressed about 125 would get them into the area where they'd feel comfortable in producing a product for your satisfaction.
That would be before the council, whether or not they want to turn around and actually move forward with that or do some other type of action. But
at this point in the evening and everything, and I wasn't in the office today, I can't certify that amount of funding in legal. I don't know that I have it. And I'm guessing I probably don't.
Go ahead.
You want to go something lower possibly, but I don't think it's going to be able to be doable at that number.
Yeah, just from a public bidding perspective, I think you would have to rebid it. Because if you think it through logically, you put an RFP out on the street for municipal prosecutor, and you put in there, it's going to pay 50 grand a year. Then you hire the ABC firm, and they come in and say, I want 100. So now all the other firms that didn't get chosen, they have a cause of action because they were not given the opportunity. So you would really have to redo it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Understood. Sean, that's why you're here. And I appreciate that. So, council, you see what's before you.
And I guess to our CFO, would you say that there is a higher amount, but still, I guess, an amount still affordable beyond the 25,000?
It'll have to be in next year's budget. It won't be this year.
So which one is?
Definitely not.
That's true. It wouldn't be something that was budgeted for this year, it'd be future.
You have to
Yeah.
certify the funds before you.
Exactly.
Before you do it.
The funds have to be in place. I have to certify that they're there.
Yeah, I'm sure that I mean, as a CFO, there's ways to turn around if the money isn't presented before in legal in that line item. When we have emergencies and circumstances that require legal, there's ways to make that money available some other way. So line items are not completely unchangeable. It's just what happens. It's in your household too. Oh my gosh, I only had $500 budgeted for my car and the windshield just went. Well, guess what? We're going to have to move some money over from someplace else. The borough budget is no different. We do things like that.
Correct, but this is our last meeting of the year.
Yeah, no, understood. Oh, I get it, Denise. Don't worry on that. All right. Anything else, Council President? Great.
I appreciate the clarity so far.
Okay.
And I'm happy that it's also on the record too, also for the residents and for the continuous communication and feedback.
Yep. Okay, Ken?
Ken Olszewski, 108 North Edward Street. I don't know about any future meetings this year, but I can tell you they're sure in hell trying to get rid of us tonight because they turned the heat off at 9 o'clock. And I'm ready for the smoke bombs to be coming out soon. So that's where we are. I've heard so many good things tonight. I just don't want to stand here and parrot them, but so many great things. I want to tell you, people talking about how long they've been around. I've calculated that I've probably been coming to these meetings for almost 65 years, starting in high school as a junior in high school, through the time I sat there and on through, I didn't start with Tony Popowski, but Harold Boehm, Eddie Felek as mayors, et cetera, et cetera. It's been around a long time and I've done a lot of public speaking. I've been to dozens and dozens of freeholder meetings speaking. The reason I mentioned that, I'm going to say something tonight that I've never said before, and you've probably never heard before about yourself, Mayor, but I'm going to call you a canary. I think you are a canary in the coal mine. What happened to you when you took office, and I can't stand here and repeat it, it's too long. You know what it is, I know what it is, because I sat there and I was not part of it, but I was a subject to hearing a lot of it and heard some of it from you one night outside of headquarters for about a half hour. But when you got elected, the idea was that you were going to be told what to do. You were going to be bossed, and you were going to put in and make the appointments, et cetera, that were wanted. And that was the start. That really was the start of the downfall of what subsequently happened with everything that's gone on here in the last few years. And what you're talking about tonight, which you've talked about for months and months, of doing an investigation of this stuff. That was the dirty things that went on. And I just can't say enough good things about you, Mayor, in regard to how you've handled yourself. You know, I'm a big advocate of democracy and fairness, and what you say about public speaking and the length of time we're allowed to be up, and I know tonight's an exception, but how fair you've been to everybody, as opposed to what I've heard from the young lady here and from Jim, and I didn't see the meetings, but on the Board of Education. You know something? I've lived here in this town all my life. I was born here. And I think you know my history. You know it better than anybody. I don't want to get into talking about my grandfather building the Borough Hall next door. But I can tell you, I'm ashamed to say I'm from Sayreville. I am ashamed to say I'm from Sayreville when I hear what's gone on at that Board of Education. And that superintendent and the entire board should be ashamed of themselves, allowing people 3 minutes to speak. That sounds like something you'd hear in Red China. It sounds like something in the Soviet Union. That's disgusting. And everybody should rise up against that. Everybody should get to the Board of Ed meetings and rise up against that nonsense. And don't ever forget it at the next election. Get those people the hell out of there. And what's been said here tonight, Jim said it, I think you said it. You know, somebody stands at the microphone here, has said something ridiculous and demeans people, very much like we're hearing right now in Washington about the Harvard and UPenn and what's gone on, what they've conducted there, and people to sit and say nothing about it? That you people would sit here if I said crazy things like that and you'd be silent? That's a disgrace. That's a disgrace to the town. It's just disgrace to everybody. You know, you got to stand up. You've been elected by the people. And if somebody says or does something and it's wrong, it's against the principles of what is right and wrong. You know what that is. You can't be silent. You've got to stand up for it. And I hope everybody, I'm not trying to lecture you people because I'm not accusing anybody here of done that, but I'm just giving you an example. You're the board that I'm before. You've got to stand up and talk about it. If somebody says something here that makes sense, you've got to join in and say, yeah, you know, we'll look into that, Jay or Glenn or whatever the case might be. But I'm not going to take a lot of time. So many of the things Jim said that I agree with and what's happened and what should be done. And I just can't say enough good things about you, Mayor, and how you've conducted yourself. And quite frankly, you got a black eye from that nonsense and the way that things have happened in this town and the corruption, et cetera. They tried to tie you, not tie you into, I never heard anybody tie you into, but they tried as a result of that you're the bad guy when the things you tried to do, in fact, were the right things to do and the fair things to do, and you've stood up for the people. And when it comes, you know, I couldn't, as Mr. Duffy said, I can't beat what your young daughter came up here and did, but and how you complimented your family. But I particularly have to compliment the husbands and your husband, Bill, and
Poor
what
Bill.
a great job he's done and how, you know. Yeah. You attended the committee meetings with these girls when they were this high. I can remember, and they'd sit there and stuff, but, you know, he sat home and sacrificed you and your time along with your children so you can leave with your head held up high.
Thank you.
And the reason I talked about how long I've been here, I think it gives me some right to say out of judgment. I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot of people. And you have done a job where your head should be held up high.
That means a lot to me, Ken. Thank you. Because of the time, you know what it's like to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
you.
I do know. I've served on almost every board in this town, and I've served on the County Utilities Authority, and I've also been in professional organizations. I was the chairman of the Raritan Valley chapter of American Production Inventory Control, which had the leading companies in the Tri-County area here. So I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. I think you have to understand that. I know you do, but people up here. Mary, I go back with you, God, a long time. I'm not going to try to trace back the amount of time, but I'm going to start by telling you something I just told Vicky. I probably didn't see this, but when your son and your husband walked out, I went out after him. I went out after Jim, and I told Jim what I'm going to tell everybody here. You know, here's a guy that my first memories of Jim, I was a relatively new councilman. He was a police officer, and our headquarters was down below Wawa. And he came up to me. I didn't know him very well. I knew he was a cop. He came up to me and said, and I can't get into the details of some crazy stuff that went on with other members of the PD, or one particular, not others, one. And he come up and said, I want you to know, I'm not a part of anything like that. I'm here because I want to be here and be involved in the town. But he was a great cop. He was a great police officer. I was there when he was there. You know, I had an office in the PD for 4 years as a commissioner in charge of public safety. He was a great cop. And you can be proud of him as well as your other children. Of course, the other thing about you, and I've always told you, never have I seen grandchildren behave as well as your grandchildren, Barry. They've always been with you all the time. I do this all the time. When I go out to dinner and there's somebody with kids sitting next to me, and when I leave, if they're well, I go to their table and tell them, you should be congratulated on how well your kids behave. And you should and how well they're your grandchildren, but it's an extension of you. It's from your children. You've been around a long time. You too can leave with your head held high. You've not been a part of any of this dirty nonsense that I'm just gonna call. We all know what went on, et cetera. But I know you had a couple of stints in public safety. On the borough council, I mean. I stood right next to you one time, a couple of terms ago, and the phone cat, I was watching the board, and which I usually am, was right next to the tote board. And the phone kept ringing, and it was your children, and you said, I don't think I'm gonna make it tonight. And of course, you remember, and it pulled you in the last, yeah. And I was standing right next to you at that time. So you've done a lot and who can top what you've done on the first aid? So you can leave with your head held high. Vince, as you've said when you were up there, you served one term. I don't really know you that well. I can't sit here and make up things about you, but I know you seem to be fair. You're a gentleman. You've tried to do what's right for the town. I know that. And I think that the three of you can leave here tonight. If we don't have another meeting, I think we've got basis for doing it. But if we don't, this last meeting, you can leave with your head held high. Your families can be proud of you. And the main thing is that you've got the integrity, you've done what should be done for the town, and you fight for the people of Saraville and what's right. And with that, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Move the public portion be closed? Oh, hold on, another hand, sorry. Didn't see you, Anthony.
Yeah. Anthony, come on up.
This feels a little bit like, I think I just got back from vacation. This feels a little bit like when you're in the Orlando airport and you see people that are just getting to the airport and they've got their luggage and they're super excited. And then you see like Mary's just wheeling that stuff behind her. She's like, I just want to get home. I hope that the new council greets their terms with the enthusiasm of being about to see that mouse for the first time down in Orlando. I am coming tonight. I've brought my son's Wilson Elementary School folder. It is tattered and loved, but it does say in the front, in a world where you can be anything, be kind, which I love, and I love the staff over there at that school. And now something a little lighter. 'Twas Kilpatrick's last meeting, and all through the hall, the mayor presided and smiled at them all. The council was nestled quite snug in their chairs, with visions of policies and debates in the air. The agenda was sprawled on the table with care in hopes that resolutions soon would be there. Donna with her soda and the clerks with their pens prepared for the meeting about to begin. Then when out on the floor, there arose such a clatter. Council folk jumped to see what was the matter. Away to the windows, they flew to the dark. Kilpatrick still stalked by that damned skate park. But the moonlight revealed a mayor so spry, with a determined gaze and a tear in her eye. She stood on accomplishments, challenges faced, a labor of love and a borough embraced. The council all listened with respect and with pride as the mayor recounted the victories alongside. From budgets to parks and events so divine, they'd left a tableau of a borough that shined. But the time had come for the gavel to fall, for the mayor to bid adieu to this hall. She thanked each council person with a heartfelt smile. Every up, every down, it had all been worthwhile. As she stepped away from the dais, head tall, the residents rose, gratitude filling the hall. The mayor, now leaving with grace and with might, wished them prosperity into the night. The meeting adjourned, the last of the year. The mayor departed, her loved ones drawn near. In her wake, a legacy of leadership so bright. Happy last meeting to all, and to all a good night. What I've learned in my time coming to council meetings Board of Ed meetings, commission meetings, planning board meetings and the like is that public service can sometimes be a little bit boring. Always important, but sometimes candidly, a little boring. Well, when you put Vicky Kilpatrick in the mayor's seat, you don't get to use the word boring pretty much ever. Service can be spicy, it can be exciting, and it can be a place that you bring your heart and your brain and your guts to. It has honestly been a privilege to watch the ways in which this council, this crop of characters, has worked together. And what I think residents might not understand is how much respect each and every member of this council has for public service, for our residents, and for our borough. Councilman Conti and Councilwoman Novak, thank you for loving this place out loud for so long and for so well. You have had to make difficult decisions balancing what's popular against what is right. And my entire family is grateful for your choice to continue to choose to serve. Shirley Chisholm is famous for saying that service is the rent we pay for the privilege of living on this earth. And Sayreville is better for your work, for your care, and for your commitment, even when you had to yell louder than Vicky to be heard, which is a challenge. Your fingerprints are all over this place that we love, and I hope you know how thankful we all are for the work, the thoughts, and the care. So thank you both. Madam Mayor, thank you for helping me feel like a part of this place, for your support over the years, for your friendship, for your leadership. Thank you for working to widen the umbrella on who is welcome in our borough, on who can be seen and heard and respected. Our children have watched you stand up to people in positions of power while wearing multiple hats, and we have learned that it is hurt people who hurt people. Our residents have seen you put your party aside, much to the chagrin of some, to push back against corruption, against dishonesty, and against bullying. I wouldn't presume to speak for anyone who is no longer with us, but I know of a council seat previously occupied by a woman who followed your leadership example, who learned from watching and learned from doing, and who talked about counting herself lucky for having served alongside you, who would be so proud of what you are finishing here. I've learned it's not only possible to weave who you are into what you do, but that it makes you a stronger, more dedicated, more authentic leader, when the touchstone against which you judge your actions isn't loyalty to a party or to a person, but to yourself, to the thing inside of you that makes you work harder for your kids, for your schools, for your communities. Bringing who you are to work opens you up to immense personal criticism, but the brave choice to do so results in people seeing themselves in positions of power, able to affect change for the people and places they love by committing to work that matters. While it is your last meeting here tonight, I know your thoughtful care for this place means that you will continue to contribute to Sayreville, but your legacy will probably be most fondly kept by your daughters, who have so very much to be proud of. I have a framed quote in my home office from a former senator of New York who once ran for president, who said, you may know who that is, yeah, who said pretty famously, be as fearless as the women whose stories you have applauded. You have given your daughters that person. You are a mom who keeps all the plates spinning, a mom who loves and listens and leads, a mom who cares and contributes and challenges. Under all of it, there is a mom who dared to say, I will do it. You know, a long time ago, I lost an election running as Gabe's dad, but it is the thing that I'm most proud of in the entire world. So please, tonight and always, from Gabe's dad to Haley and Addison's mom, please know how excited I am for you to release the weight of that gavel. I've got some great Netflix recommendations for your Monday nights. You do know where to find me, and I was sent this evening with my son's folder and this that he drew of you getting some time with Haley and Addison, and a rainbow above you guys that says, we love you, Vicky, because you are a part of our family and you're part of Sayreville's story and Sayreville's family. So from my tiny family to yours, thank you so much for your service, Mayor.
This. But I will say, a good friend told me, good leaders know when their time is done. And hearing all of this, makes me feel good in knowing that it is time. This was a hard decision. You know, you never know what the future is going to be. And I tell a lot of people that stop me now and talk to me, you know, it's a pause for right now because you don't know what's going to happen. But hearing such kindness from all of you, there are no words in that. For me, that's hard to say. But this is something I'm so proud of. Because that flag that we hang and in front of our buildings for Pride Month, it's so much more than just that month and what it means, and this proves it. I never thought in a million years I would make a difference like this in one person's life, let alone more than that. I'm touched. I'm a good mom because of that mom. My mom over there that's nestled up, that Addie's nestled up against. Nobody knows this, but she listens to every single meeting. She comes here if I'm running late because she worries about me. And she is the first person I call on my way home. She is the first person I call going to work, going to school. And I'm the person I am because of you and Daddy. So that's why you have me. Because I had a good foundation to start with. And that's why I've been able to do the things that I've done. I can't keep crying like this. Oh my God, my makeup's gone. Anybody else from the public wish to speak on anything else? Please speak now and forever hold your peace. All right. Anybody online? I see none. Oh my God.
Move to close the public portion.
Second.
Okay, is it roll call? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh my gosh, 5 minutes, I may, oh.
I'm not even gonna say. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to call our second meeting to order for this evening with a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Statement of publication, please, Jess.
Take notice that this agenda meeting of the mayor and council being held this 11th day of December 2023 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Balca.
Here.
Conti. Novak.
Here.
Noha.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Sinarski. Glenn, it's on you.
I just have 5 personnel items for your consideration that we require approval for. Number 1, authorization
pen is
to promote
leaking.
David Wilkins from sergeant to lieutenant in the police department, retroactive to December 1, which is when his acting position started. Authorization to promote Jeffrey Taylor to sergeant in the police department, retroactive to December 1st, 2023, which is the date he went into his acting position. Authorization to promote Peter Garbowski to senior maintenance repair in the Department of Public Works effective January 1. Authorization to promote Nicholas Sapsinos to maintenance repair in the Department of Public Works effective January 1. And authorization to promote Meadow Magnani to management specialist in the Department of Personnel, record of December 16, 2023.
23,
That's all I
okay.
have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Let's move
Fine.
over to our, go ahead. I'm sorry, Dan.
Number 5, we just made the position full-time a couple months ago. Now we're making it promotional.
Well, I couldn't move her into the position until it existed in our TOL. The position hadn't previously existed in the borough.
Yeah, but the position only exists, full-time position only began a couple months ago, right? And now we're making it
Well, she was part-time in there as a clerk.
couldn't make her like confidential secretary for at least a year and full-time before we make another position like this. That's,
Based on the assessments of her immediate supervisor and my observations, we found her conduct and for job performance to be superior, and she would be fulfilling a need in the administrative operation of the borough.
is there any posting required for this? No, because it's promotional, it doesn't require any posting, you're saying?
She's really training. We're looking at some retirements soon, and she's basically learning that position. Am I correct? And the personnel?
And frankly, she's, as Mrs. Novak said, we're trying to develop some depth on the bench here. We're all getting a little older.
Long in the
Everyone's getting
tooth.
close to retirement, and based on her performance and her educational achievement, she's a prime candidate to be considered to run that department in the future.
And we really don't want to discuss her job performance
Thank
because she's not Rice noticed.
I don't think that was the way we were. Behind us. Any,
Okay. CFO's report, Denise.
nothing, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's next, Jay. Hey, Jay, do me a favor when I'm gone. Make sure that you talk about the change orders be a net reduction. Thank you. What does that bring us to next? Sean.
I just want to say, wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and it was a pleasure working here with everyone for the year. Happy New Year's too.
I hope we gave you some entertainment for a while.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do not see anyone from the public that wants to continue to speak. If you do, now's your time. Seeing none, I'll entertain a
Close the
motion.
public portion.
Second.
All right, motion, all in favor?
Aye. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Go in peace. One more.